A very good morning and welcome to Sydney for the 19th annual Blackmores Running Festival. My name's Ian Cohen and great to have you along for a celebration of athletics that owes its heritage to the Sydney 2000 Olympics and is now sanctioned as a global gold medal event by the IAAF. And the Harbour City's shaken off her winter coat and given us her best spring face. Conditions are superb for today's running, so welcome wherever you're joining us around the planet. We have over 60 nations represented here today. Joining me in commentary, Commonwealth Games gold medalist. He collected the whole set actually, with bronze in 86, silver in 1990 and gold in 94. It's a very good morning to Steve Moneghetti.
Always a pleasure being here, Ian. Thanks, mate.
And also sitting next to him, gold at the Moscow Olympics in the 800, bronze in the 1500, a three-time Olympian for Great Britain, a European champion, a national champion and a world record holder as well. It's a very good morning, Steve Ovett.
Thank you, Ian. Another beautiful day here. Perfect conditions for all the runners.
Yeah, it should be absolutely brilliant today. You can see Sydney is an absolute picture. Look at that. They'll be running right around the harbour. Let's have a look at some of our top competitors here, and obviously the Africans certainly prominent here. The Japanese have won as well.
Japanese have been strong here, but I think it's a Kenyan day. Felix Kiprotich has run under 2:07 on 4 occasions, has a PB of 2:05. So, and Elijah Kemboy coming back defending title. I think it'll be a battle between those two.
Well, the Kenyans have won it 10 times, so they've got great form, and they've got a great contingent here today, so a bit of an African charge.
Certainly could be. We'll have a look at the women's start list for you as well. And again, obviously, we've got Africans that are certainly going to be very prominent.
Yeah, I think Stella Barsocio, 2:23 marathon runner. So again, the Kenyans here. Ethiopians have been strong, like the Ethiopian contingent always in the women strong, but I reckon it's a Kenyan day.
Yeah, Hadji could be there as well, so it's a good race for the women as well.
So all is in readiness to get underway for the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival into its 19th year. A wonderful legacy event and the only legacy participation event remaining from the Sydney 2000 Games. Milson's Point is where the event starts. It then heads through the CBD, around through the Sydney Cricket Ground. It turns tail at Centennial Park and winds its way through the beautiful parkland areas before heading back towards town. You can see the halfway mark there, and then it will scale the sides of the harbour area through Darling Harbour and around through Banger Reserve before finishing here in the beautiful forecourt of the Sydney Opera House. That is what is ahead for our competitors. And when we talk about competitors, this event has grown to feature nearly 40,000 runners. How good is that for athletics, Steve Moneghetti?
It's just unbelievable, the growth. And, you know, it's normalised now. Running is just, we're not crazy anymore. It's just what we expect people to do, and terrific. And what a course and what a view they will get out on course today. A little bit warm, but by the end, but certainly good conditions now. They'll be having a tremendous experience.
A lot of it has grown from the support of Destination New South Wales through strategic partner Destination New South Wales. The event now with IAAF gold status, putting the Sydney Marathon alongside London, New York and Boston. And all is in readiness for the start. 42 kilometres ahead for these men and women.
Bit of tension at the start line there. The tape just pulled away, but you can imagine now they've got 42 kilometres in front of them, and it's perfect conditions. The Kenyans are here. They're ready to charge. We could get a record today, so we can look forward to the pace on the early part of the marathon.
Monners, what were you normally doing at this time? Were you a talker or were you very quiet?
No, I didn't. I used to be very quiet in my own space. I hated chatting. Just don't annoy me. Just get that gun going. So trying to focus a bit.
So Guy Zahn from Blackmores will be firing the gun. Let's talk about some of our top competitors.
Yeah, well, as I said, there's a contingent of Kenyans here. There might be a bit of team conversation in Swahili going on during the race, or whether they take it very seriously individually, because it's a big thing for a victory here for these athletes. I'm not sure, Steve. What do you think is going to happen?
Very experienced. They'll definitely pack up early, and they'll know each other, and they'll be looking at each other, but they'll just be running along for a little while. So they just want to get going, and I reckon we could see. I'm not going to call it early, but I think they're classy enough to be record-breaking runs today.
So we're on the countdown. Gaizan from Blackmores has fired the gun, and we are underway for the Blackmores Sydney Marathon. And the elbows are out at this stage, Steve Moneghetti, just to get a little bit of clear pathway.
Yeah, you just want to get safely away, and hopefully we see some paces there as well. So that'll be a bit of a group, but generally it's you know, you want to just have a clear run at the start. So it doesn't look like anyone's had any trouble there.
No, it's quite interesting. Some of the sort of like club runners have rushed to the front of the field there, I think, to get a picture of themselves in front of the Kenyans just before they start getting into the serious part of the race. So it's all good fun. This is probably the greatest running festival in Australia, I think. 40,000 runners here today doing all sorts of distances, Steve.
And a record marathon field, we should note, 5,500 in the marathon today, which is outstanding. So yeah, there's and they do head north for a little bit, but then they turn and come over the bridge. So you're just really getting this bit under your belt.
You can see some of the costumes there too, because the Guinness Book of World Records has got a 4-year partnership now with the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. We've got guys and girls running in kung fu uniforms, a tennis player, a rugby kid, a chef, television character, Highland dancer, ballet dancer. So you might find some of them on the screen as well.
Gee, I'd be picking my uniform today, I reckon, just quietly.
So you're not into the French maid then? You wouldn't be running in that,
no.
Steve.
So today, of course, we've got not only the Blackmores Sydney Marathon, we've got the Blackmores Half Marathon, the Blackmores Family Run, which is 3.5 kilometres, and the very popular Blackmores Bridge Run, which is 10 kilometres as well, as the runners continue to come through the start line.
And it'll take a little bit of time to get through the start line, but now the modern innovation is they've got their own timing bands or chips, so when you cross the line is when your time starts. So each one of these individual runners will get an actual running time, even though it might seem like they've missed the start. It will just time them individually, which is important.
And throughout the day as well, we will see our wheelchair competitors, who of course have headed off a little bit earlier as well. We've got 5 wheelchair competitors, so we will be seeing them throughout the day traversing this beautiful course in and around Sydney Harbour. So the runners just settling into a bit of a routine at the moment.
There's Benny St Lawrence out front, who is on pacemaking duties today. So he's and it looks like he's a bit quick. He's saying, come on, okay, let's get up here. What's going on?
Talk to us about that role, Monas, because he's got a specific role today to make the pace.
Yes, and we're going to talk about that record from 2014, 2:11.18. So he is going. Benny will set the pace, and the rest of the runners know that that's the pace that he's going to run. So he's going to go through halfway in about 64.30. You double that, that's 2:09. Gives them a couple of minutes just up their sleeve. You fatigue, you will get tired at the back end, so that allows about a 2:11 pace to be run.
I think they're very lucky having a class athlete like Ben St Lawrence taking them through. I mean, he's a real international athlete himself. I mean, he could run a good marathon on his own without actually helping these guys. So he's out there today doing a really good job of the pacemaking.
He still holds the Australian 10K record, and he ran 2:14 up at Gold Coast a couple of months ago. So he's in shape. He's going well, and he's a local, so he knows the course back to front. So that will really give them a bit of comfort up the front.
Some of the women there, I think that's Bus Socio just coming through in the blue. I'm not sure, we're not seeing their numbers. And just behind, I think Haji there as well. So the women are being literally, I suppose, paced by some of the men, which are in the actual race themselves. So they're getting their pacemaking done by the men who are in the main race. There's Ben almost looking over his shoulder now saying, come on, let's keep this going. Look, he's very casual at the moment, Steve.
Yeah, I think he's obviously a little bit quicker than he's telling them. Come on, this is the pace. This is what you told me you wanted. So get on my back. And there we have there Joseph Perumoy, who's on it now, but that's where the pace is, and they're happy. And whilst a pacer will set the run, you still got to have a race out there, so they're pretty comfortable in that.
I think it's early days in the marathon, and these boys are almost literally warming up in effect in the first sort of 5K or so. They're not going to go too mad, are they?
No, and there's a big pack there, so they're running pretty casual. They're still going. Don't get me wrong, they're still running fast pace, but they haven't really got on the back of that of Benny just yet. So they're just settling in.
So you can see the top of screen there. There's still runners filing through the start line while our elite runners are making their way across the bridge. And you'll see some marvellous pictures wherever you're watching around the globe, because this is the only running event in Australia that's broadcast live, and it goes to over 450 million households worldwide. Welcome Eurosport Asia, Fuji Fuji TV in Japan, Shanghai TV as well as, of course, Channel 10 in Australia, Fox Sports and also ESPN in North America. So these images are broadcast right around the world, and they are brilliant images. Conditions are enormous. And running across the bridge, Steve, do you get time to actually soak a little bit of that in?
Well, I did. You know, I ran over there at the Sydney Olympics, and it's such an imposing structure. You actually do. You do have a bit of a look off and across the harbour. So it's an unbelievable experience to do that traffic-free today.
Well, Ben's still doing a great job out there. He's just chugging along, beautiful stride. The Africans are, as you say, Steve, just about 10 metres or so just behind. Apramoy there in the green in number 6, just on his shoulder, but there's no real problem, I don't think, for any of the athletes so far with the pace that Ben's setting. No,
and they're just rolling along. They're quite comfortable, and I think they've settled into the pace. And we've got to remember, Ben will be a bit quicker than the record, so we're not worried. He will. You know, he's on the 2.9. We're hoping they'll run sort of 2.10, 2.11 today, so they're all fine.
Beautiful vision. We can see the train rolling through as well. The Sydney Harbour Bridge is only shut twice annually, and this shows the sort of kudos that this event has. Once for this event and once on New Year's Eve. And of course, New Year's Eve, a massive fireworks display off the Sydney Harbour Bridge. So the bridge is shut, all the traffic going through the tunnel and the foot traffic above.
And look at that, seriously, that's an unbelievable view. What an aspect. So why wouldn't you want to run an event like this? That's incredible views over the harbour.
And of course, for all those competitors in the other ones, the family walk, the 10K, they also get this advantage. They get to come over here, and you can see the finish line there in the right of screen. That is where these elite athletes and everyone else will finish. There is obviously the conservatory, which is where the family run finishes, just up behind the Opera House. But they'll make their way back there. They've still got another 39 odd kilometres to go before they get to us here at the Sydney Opera House.
And it is also the Australian Marathon Championship, so it's an important race for our Australian marathon runners, men's and women's as well today. And there are the women. Now, I think you'll find that Dion there in 1:28, he's actually going to pace the women, but he may win the Australian marathon title as well, so he's kind of got a couple of things on his mind today. That pace, and again the women's records is set and held at 2:28.06, so he's very capable. He's got low 2:20s marathon runners. Yeah, that was Bonus Couture there from Kenya. She's one of the top women. She'd be up there. She's running well. She was in the blue vest, just running side by side there with the rest of the men. Ben is really pushing it on here, though. I think he's got the bit between his teeth. I think he's been given the job, and he's taking it very seriously. He is. Yes. So, well, and at least they know. So they're still just because they're off the pace. That it's only 3 or 4 seconds, so it's not long. So they're all fine. It's not like cycling, is it? If you can get behind someone, you get protection from the lead guy. In running, really, there's not much difference between being him in front and you just about 3 or 4 metres behind, Steve. I did like it, though, to be sitting on the back of the pacer, to be honest.
The beautiful Sydney Harbour Bridge turns 85 as well, sharing a birthday with the naming rights sponsor of the event, Blackmores, who also turns 85. Blackmores was established in 1932. It was a health food store by Maurice Blackmore, and today the #1 vitamin and supplement brand across Australia. The world's tallest steel arch bridge, affectionately known as the coat hanger. So a wonderful vista. And of course, if you're heading to Sydney, make sure you do the bridge climb as well. Those tours started back in 1998. They are very popular, and it's an amazing view off the top of the bridge. Well, Apramoy is still up there with Ben. I mean, he's a good runner, really. I mean, he was second in the Geneva Marathon last year. Amsterdam, he was 10th before that in 17. So he's a good runner. I mean, this is a class field here, and they're not really going to let Ben go too far away. I don't think they'll need to use him as best they can.
And back to the women's, and they're established. There's a pretty small pack, really, to be honest, at this early stage. What have we got? 2, 4. It's probably 6 females in that group there. So just on the outside in the black there, Josephine Chepkovic, I think, is one of the real big favourites for the race. She's run about 2:25 for the marathon. So that's a class act. It really is. So she's running really well. And at the moment, to say it's early days, as Steve always says, a marathon is not about the start, it's about the finish, and it's true. These are just taking it easy up until now. Yeah, and that's why I'm not concerned about this pace up the front. Benny's on it, that's fine. If I was Joseph, I'd be back in the pack. I wouldn't be in a hurry to be
No, he's not getting in much benefit from Ben. In fact, he's running his own sort of pace at the front there. So, yeah, but everybody to his own way of doing things. And if that's what he likes doing, then fine. Then that's the way he runs.
No one's won a marathon going off at the front, so they'll pack up and just keep him in eyesight. But they know what paces run, so they're very experienced. These people, they run marathons all around the world, so they're not doing anything we wouldn't expect. They're very comfortable in that group.
So you can see them making their way, 4 kilometres down at the moment, and they will have now got off the bridge and will be working their way all the way through towards Centennial Park, which is the turning point where they'll then make their way back in towards town as well. A little bit of a gap opening up here.
Not a problem. They do a bit of a turn, so no issues there.
So the wheelchair athletes, of course, a big part of the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival as well. And we can see some of them here. Christy Dawes. We've also got Eliza Alt-Connell, Richard Coleman, Dennis Devereaux, and also Jake Lappin as well. So this is a start earlier. They're out ahead of our runners at the moment. And the gun is fired and underway they go. 42 kilometres. And Dennis Devereaux is an amazing story. He actually was involved in a fall where he broke both tibias in his legs. And although he can walk, he's chosen to compete in racing the wheelchair. This is his first marathon in a wheelchair. Richard Coleman, of course, we know very well. Jake Lappin, as well as Eliza and also Christy.
So they're off, and just looking at the equipment they've got here, fantastic, really. Carbon fibre wheels, all the sort of accoutrements that you expect from the Tour de France cyclists. So they're in great shape, and they've gone off really fast. Look at them.
You're watching the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. So wonderful scenes, the sunrise spectacular over Sydney Harbour, and most of the elite runners have now made their way across the bridge. And Steve Ovett, it's a wonderful opportunity for the weekend warriors to be able to get across this bridge as well.
Oh, as I said, this is a really significant running festival here. Probably the best running festival in the whole of Australia, probably one of the best in the world, to be absolutely honest. 40,000 athletes will be taking part, all sorts of distances. This is the marathon, we know this is the elite runners, but there's also the half marathon, and there's the walk across the bridge for the families, the push prams, and mums and dads can go out. So this is a real occasion, and the weather, again, absolutely beautiful here. Perfect running conditions.
So Bornes Couture out in front wearing the number 14. And we'll also pick up a couple of other runners for you as well. You can see a mixture of some of the locals along with African visitors and also Japanese runners as well, and spectacular scenes here in Sydney.
This has got to be one of the probably the significant marathons in the world. I mean, you can think of others, it'd be London, Paris, Berlin. But when you come to something like this, I mean, not only is it a significant marathon, but the course is superb, Steve.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, they go through all sorts of areas, through the parks, they come over the bridge, they finish at the Opera House. I mean, you don't get any better than that, really.
No, and you obviously run, if you're looking around and enjoying the course, that's going to make you a bit more comfortable. But it has a couple of rolling hills. It's not the flattest and fastest marathon in the world, but it's they've run fast here, so there must be some downhills as well.
But that really only affects the elite athletes.
That's
the rest
right,
of the other runners, I mean, to have all that, all the other sights and sort of sounds that they get running in this marathon, it's fantastic.
Yes, and they'll get good support. I think it goes through a lot of residential areas as well, so there'll be people out on the course, and that's significant as well. If you can get some family and friends out there giving you a bit of support, that makes a difference.
Carlisle Expressway and then down across Observatory Hill. Obviously Hyde Park is where they're heading to as well. And you can see the edge of Observatory Hill and across through to Hyde Park, which is a beautiful, beautiful flat land to be able to run. The hills around these parts aren't too taxing, Steve, but they obviously make you work hard enough.
Yeah, and some people like the undulations. They like to mix it up a little bit, so breaks that sort of repetition of being on the same muscles all the time. So yeah, it provides a bit of variety sometimes as well.
So they're just packing up a little bit here next to Ben. So Ben's doing a great job. Most of the Africans now have just pulled their way back to him.
And Bondi is one of the world's most famous beaches. Golden sands, deep blue crystal clear ocean and perfect waves for surfing and swimming, creating the ideal beach spot. I wonder if anyone's going to head there for a little bit of rehab. Maybe the old saltwater rehab might be happening at Bondi Beach this afternoon.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you after a marathon? Nothing better than in a bit of open water to help the recovery.
I think I'd probably want to be lying down for about 4 hours before I hit that, but I'm sure there's some that will make their way over to Bondi. Why not? But yeah, it's a long way marathon, 42 kilometres, and I must admit it does take a toll on your legs. It really does.
So Apramoy is the man in the Blackmores singlet, just running with our pace setter.
The real star is number 4 there. You just saw him, just about a tiny man, Elijah Kemboy there. You know, he's a real good class runner, and he's just chugging along looking very, very comfortable.
He won last year, Steve, so he'll be on to he knows the course well, and he'll be rolling along. Having had a victory, that always gives you a lot of confidence leading in.
So at the 4.7 kilometre mark, and you just saw some shots there of Hyde Park, which they'll be heading to very shortly. They'll make their way through Hyde Park. It's about 1,500 metres as they make their way through Hyde Park, and then of course on the return as well.
Well, there's some of the feeding stations already set up for the other athletes. Coming up to the 5K mark, we'll just get a quick inkling of what sort of speed they're running at. Ben just taking a quick drink here at the feeding stations. Starting to split up a little bit. The main pack now, that group of about, 7 or so, just looking very comfortable though.
And let's locate, so Kip Karui, the taller Kenyan on the right of screen, number 2, and then number 1, Felix Kiprotich, who is the person who has those 4 sub-2.7. So keep an eye on those two. They're probably the, I think they're the ones who are going to give Elijah Kemboy a run for his money. They're probably the 2 that I would pick as the two.
I would say they were. I came down to the lift with Kip Karui, 6'5". I mean, he's a big man for a marathon runner.
He is, yes.
Yeah. Is that an advantage to have the longer levers, Steve?
No.
Or is it actually a disadvantage because you've got, obviously, he's going to be physically bigger and maybe carrying a little bit more weight?
Yeah, that's the weight, and you've got to carry that over such a long distance. You want to be as efficient as you can. And we're getting the 5K split there at just over 15:45, so that's 3:09 pace, though they're about right on record pace, but it's early, so I'd like them to be a little bit quicker, and that's why Ben St Lawrence was keen for them to go a little bit faster, but they are right on that record pace, but you want to have a little bit of time up your sleeve, but with this course switching around a little bit, that's okay.
So the CBD and Tower area around Sydney, and it is turning on a beautiful, beautiful spring day for the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. As I said, there's a number of events right across here. We've already seen some of our wheelchair athletes get underway. We've got family walks, we've got the 10Ks, and we've also got the half marathon as well, as they make their way through Hyde Park, the oldest parkland in Australia, right in the heart of the CBD. You can see the Archibald Fountain, the Pool of Reflection, and the Anzac Memorial in there as well. Famous for magnificent fig tree-lined avenues, and contains more than 580 exotic and native trees. Not that any of these boys and girls are going to be noticing too much of that, but look, a fantastic vista for them to be running through, and a nice surface as well.
Well, one of the good things when Steve mentioned the pace has slightly sort of eased a little bit, you could see Ben St Lawrence thought, yes, we're going to keep it up a bit now, and he picked it up a bit, Steve, didn't he, and just decided to put a bit of a surge on, stretched them out yet again.
He has, yes.
The half marathon, as I said, is also underway, and again, Milson's Point is the starting venue, beautifully across the coat hanger, and then they'll work their way through Hyde Park, which we've just seen on the screens, before heading through Barangaroo Reserve, through Darling Harbour, and they will also finish here at the forecourt of the Sydney Opera House. So that is the map for the Blackmores half marathon with the finish, and we'll see some of the runners getting underway here. And this is just a great entry point, isn't it, for a lot of people that are wanting to maybe run a marathon. Who knows? Could be an opportunity. Start with your half marathon.
perfect lead-in. I used to call it the normal person's marathon. You don't quite have to put your life on hold and do the mileage that you would need for a marathon. So, and if you're stepping up, you run a 10K and you might want the challenge, new challenge, then the half marathon's the ideal race.
So underway in the half marathon, the 21 kilometres.
And I felt you used to be able to race the half marathon. The marathon, you need to spread your energy out, your glycogen levels over the whole event, whereas the half marathon, you can actually, it's more, you know, you can run hard and feel like you're at pace for most of the event. Massive numbers, gee, huge crowd. So the half marathon's a very popular event now. As we go back to Hyde Park. That might be the chase group, I think. So,
well, masses now coming round the fountain there. Beautiful scenes. Everybody doing their own thing here. And as you see, there's some of the pacers have got the stickers up.
So our half marathon was taken out by Ryoti Komori of Japan. 64.54 was the time. And then the first lady across the line, Belinda Martin at 45 years of age, 1:14.53.
Right down here at the finish line with winner of the men's half marathon, Komori Ryota. How was that for you today?
しっかり優勝ができたので良かったです。
Yes, I did well. I'm very happy that I won.
And a convincing win. How are the conditions like on the course?
コースの状態、コースのコンディションどうですか？
アップダウンがきつくて、結構タフなコースだなと思いました。
Yes, it was up down courses, but it was very hard. Thank you.
Well done, congratulations, and recover well. We hope to see you again next year.
おめでとうございます。また来年もお会いしたいと思います。
ありがとうございます。また来年も走りたいと思います。
Thank you. I would like to come back here next year.
I'm with the winner of the female half marathon down here at the finish line, Belinda Martin. It's your second year winning this in a row, and a touch faster, a minute faster, in fact.
Yeah, this one was a minute faster than last year. Last year was quite windy. Do you remember how windy it was? So I think maybe that might have helped me.
Yeah, and so how did you feel out there on the course?
I felt really good today, which going through the first 5K, I felt nice and relaxed. I think it was 17 and a half. So on that time, I thought, oh, I'm in for a decent time.
You're a hero. You're 45 years old. You're still running PBs. You're still absolutely smashing it. What's next? How long can you go?
I think, age is nothing really. So being 45, I guess, if you feel strong in yourself, you can keep on going forever. So, yeah, to all the oldies out there, just give it a go.
Well done. Congratulations. We hope to see you back here next year for a three-peat.
Okay, thank you, Eloise, and you might be here too.
Yeah, hopefully.
So the half marathon, and what a result. 45 years of age, Belinda Martin, mum of two, and as I always said, just absolutely brilliant to have her posting PBs.
And her daughter's running very well as well, so there'd be a bit of family rivalry happening there. My son's running today in the 10K and holding him off for another year or so, hopefully. They close you down. Age, you can't stop it, unfortunately. But great, Belinda Martin, 45. She's going great. So enthusiastic as well.
Well, we're seeing the women now starting to group up, aren't we, in the women's race? So that's good. Just ticking along nicely there. There's the just come up to 7K almost, 23 minutes 55. So they're moving along nicely.
This is Dion, who I think's helping out the women as well as running his own race, but they're rolling along pretty well. We're hearing out on course that they're under record pace, so the women are going well.
And so is Ben St. Lawrence. He's really taking his job, as I said earlier, very seriously. Ben, he's out there working hard, making the other athletes really realise that this is the pace they should be running if they want to get close to the record. And it's almost been like this from the start, Steve, hasn't it, really? This sort of format. Ben up front there, and then the other athletes about 10 or so metres just behind.
Yeah, and it suggests that, they're comfortable in that. I think they realise that pace that he's setting is just they know it's there. They're happy to just let him sit off the front. That's fine.
He's going to run at, what, 64, 65 for the first half. Is that hard for him on his own out there?
He's a pretty experienced half marathon runner, so he'll be on it. He looks very comfortable, so I think he's fine. I think he's going well.
So the Sydney Cricket Ground and some of the beautiful precincts around that area before they head to Centennial Park.
Keeps looking at his watch, so he's very conscious of that pace and time. So that's with technology now, you know, he'll be able to get a running pace, so he knows he's on that sub 3 minutes 10 second per kilometre.
Deceptive, actually, looking at with the motorbike obviously coming with the pace. You don't really realise how fast he's running. He's running pretty fast at the moment.
See some of our female competitors there.
Couture just looking very comfortably at the front of that group, so she's looking good.
And there are so many opportunities to explore the Sydney coastline, from boat cruises, there's fishing, whale watching, jet boating and kayaking, to walking and cycling the promenades or surfing at one of Sydney's famous beaches. The Sydney Harbour experience, certainly one to behold. You can see the Sydney Cricket Ground there. Cricket has been played there for 160 years, and in 1894 it was officially named as the Sydney Cricket Ground, and they'll be heading towards Centennial Park as we rejoin our leaders. Conditions wonderful for the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival, and Blackmores, of course, have been wonderful sponsors of this event, celebrating a 16th year association as naming sponsorship, and their ambassador Carrie Bickmore is running the 10K out on course today. And Monas, I know your son Matthew's also running the 10K as well. Great entry point for a lot of athletes.
It is, yeah, and we should thank Blackmores. We wouldn't be here without them. We can't have events without our sponsors, and this is a beautiful city to run around, but you know, there's a lot of road closures and issues, so we really thank the supporters of this event to allow us to indulge and get out there and do what we can do, and they're doing the business today. Certainly the women, I think the women's pack seems to be more compact and rolling along. I think we're in for a really fast day, certainly in the women. I mean, that 2:28 record's definitely going to be under enormous pressure today. I think we've got some class. We're 2:23, 2:25 marathon runners here, so that 2:28 run, and Magda's in the race, so the record holder is in the race as well, just sitting back there in about third place in the women's race, so she's on the pace as well.
Bit of a tight turn there for the athletes to just go around that bollard, and you know, they're probably not too tight at the moment to worry about that sort of thing. But the course, I think, is from my point of view, I mean, obviously I'm not a marathon runner, Steve, but when you've got the turns and the twists, that must affect you if you're getting tired. But also at the same time, not seeing a long road stretched out in front of you, psychologically, it must be good to have something breaking that up all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And as long as you're comfortable with it, the turns, you never want to turn because it just breaks your rhythm up a bit. But like you say, it does. You don't want to be running on a straight road either, because you tend to just think, oh wow, we're getting closer, and you know, you get sort of caught mentally then. So, but you want to be able to retain your rhythm so that you're not wasting any energy by having to turn and get back up to pace again.
Joseph Apramoy is the man in the number 6 there, and that Blackmores singlet, the famous colours of the Blackmores singlet, over 10,000 competitors today will be running in that singlet as well. Reedy's joined us, and we're going to find out a little bit more about some of the sustainability in today's events.
Hi, I'm Reedy from the TV show Bondi Rescue. As a lifeguard, I've seen firsthand the impact that non-recyclable products and single-use plastic has on the environment. Basically, this year at the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival, we're doing everything we can to minimise our impact on the environment. So, we're using biodegradable cups instead of plastic cups. We're working with the crew at Hoz Harvest to make sure that no food goes to waste. And we've also teamed up with the crew at Just Water. These bottles are completely recyclable, and you'll get one when you cross the finish line. Make sure you pop it in a recycle bin, and I'll see you at the finish line.
Thanks very much, Reedy. Great to have him on board. And, of course, Eloise Wellings as well, who represented her country in 06, 2010 and 2014 Commonwealth Games, and also the 2012 and 16 Olympics. And a couple of years ago made the finals of the 5,000 and 10,000 metres at Rio. So great to have Eloise Wellings on board the broadcast.
Indeed, Elsie. She's a champ. Been around on the running scene, dominated Australian distance running for a number of years.
Sydney Cricket Ground, certainly a picture at the moment. And Australia's been doing reasonably well against the old enemy, the English. You were waiting for us to bring that up, weren't you, Steve?
Yeah, I was waiting for the dagger in my back there, and it didn't take long to arrive, did it, really? But yes, okay, yeah.
Well, you're living in Australia now. Surely you have some sort of feeling for us.
I like to sit on the fence. I really do. It's a bit sore, but I like to sit on there for a long time.
Is that a barbed wire fence or a normal fence? A white picket fence, hopefully like the cricketing grounds.
Welcome to Splinters Ovett, who's joining us this morning for the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival as well. And you can see the ladies group here that will be forming up, wearing 14 Boness Couture from Kenya, the 32-year-old. So she's actually one of the oldest women in the field today, and has run so far a 2:24.19 in terms of PBs. Do you think she can get the job done today?
No, there's a few there that could do it. I mean, this group hasn't splintered up yet. Masocio's there. Did you say Couture's there? I don't know. I mean, at the moment, it's not really sort of proving too much. I don't think it's too early really to see who's going to go for the record. If they are going to go for the record, it is a race. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
It's about winning as well. Let's not get too carried away with records. So we'll have to wait and see what the actual pace is. Around about the halfway mark, I think.
We'll get an idea then. But they're running right, and they look like they're rolling. I think the men are sitting off the pace a bit, but the women are very aggressive and on pace. So look out. They're doing the business for sure. And I think Stella Bosocio, just off that group, is the one sitting nicely in that pack, and Boness Couture's pushing it along.
And if you're just joining us, the man in white is setting the pace. Talk to us a little bit about that, Monas, and Steve Ovett, as to what that role means for Ben St Lawrence. It's a designated role, and it's one he's certainly been leading from the front at the moment. Apramoy's been keeping him company, but Ben St Lawrence with a job to do today.
And his designated role is to set the pace. Everybody's aware of what pace he will run, so he's going through halfway in 64.30, and then he'll keep going if he's feeling okay. He might get them to 25 or 30, but he's not likely to finish. He won't finish. But they know, and they don't have to worry about the pace. So they know what it is. They can sit off that pace. If it was windy, they might be in behind him getting a bit of cover. But generally, it's to set an established pace so everybody knows that that's the pace. And they're not going to get cagey and sit back. They know, OK, let's get this pace rolling. We want to win the race, but we also want to run a fast time and get that course record. There's bonuses, financial bonuses for the course record. And it is a gold label marathon event, so it's a highly established race that you want to win.
So as they make their way through Centennial Park, home to more than 15,000 trees, beautiful flower beds, manicured lawns, duck pond statues and cafes, certainly a stunning part of the city that Sydneysiders have enjoyed for over 100 years. You're watching the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival.
Well, they're still running. Apramoy, though, doesn't really like, I don't think, Ben being in front of him too much. Some of the Kenyans don't like that at all, do they? They almost take it as a bit of an insult if someone's in front of them in a race. So he's getting out there and he's actually doing more of a pacemaking job than Ben is at the moment.
He is. And we're certainly seeing that as well in the women's. I mean, Dion's on the pace, but aggressively out in front.
Chachisa now just moving ahead, deciding that the pace maybe isn't quite what she wants, and pushing on.
I'm surprised because I'm thinking they're ahead of pace, but anyway, she's keen to get it rolling.
So, of course, the international runners here have been descending on this event for quite a while. We've had Japanese winners, we've had a lot of the African winners, we've had some local winners as well, but the Japanese really look at it and we'll talk more about it, but obviously with the Olympic Games looming as well in 2020, they'll be wanting to appear at their own home games if possible, and these sort of events obviously help with the lead up there.
Yeah, and the time difference not bad from Asia, so a couple of hours, and that's why I think the Japanese men and women have run very well here. They don't have to get over that jet lag and acclimatise, so I think that's been a real advantage. We'll see how they go today. I think the Kenyans and the Africans today look more prominent. We're seeing that early on.
No, there's the splits for the kilometres, 3:26, Steve. So they're clicking ahead.
Yeah, that's what they need to be running. That's under the record pace for the women, which we're sensing that is happening, whereas the men are probably just on pace at best.
Ben doing a great job. Still looks very comfortable. Just doing what he has to do.
A beautiful park, Centennial Park. It's one of the world's great parks, and they'll be enjoying rolling through there. It's a very popular place for exercising here in Sydney.
360 hectares. It's an extraordinary amount of space, isn't it? Right in the CBD, basically.
Massive park, really, for a centre of a city. But that just goes to show the sort of areas that they're running around here. Beautiful areas for this marathon.
Of course, a lot of recreational venues as well in Centennial Park. We've seen the Sydney Cricket Ground. There's a number of other cricket grounds, of course, and athletics. A lot of running around Centennial Park, and you see all sorts of sports that are a part of here.
They had a World Cross Country trial in Centennial Park, in fact, in the 80s. So it's very well utilised, as it should be. A fantastic place to run.
Joseph Apramoy is the man in the green singlet. Ben St Lawrence in the white. Sydney's beautiful coastline features a series of outdoor pools offering a unique swimming experience. Saltwater pools, perfect if you're a lap swimmer, a toddler, or those who just want to relax. Bondi Baths, of course, for over 100 years, a famous landmark as well. And on a day like today, a beautiful Sunday here in Sydney, they will be very well frequented, you would suggest. The leaders currently making their way through Centennial Park. You can ride a horse, ride a bike, you can picnic, you can play sports, exercise, do a whole lot of things. 360 hectares right on the doorstep of the CBD Centennial Park. Ben St Lawrence in the white is our pacer for today, and it is the man in green, Joseph Apramoy, who has been riding his shoulder most of the way, and that gap that we've got of what looks to be about 20 metres back to the chasing group at the moment, that's been fairly consistent since about the first kilometre.
It has, and they're all the as expected, all the favourites in the men's event are in that group. So they're just sitting off the back of Ben and Joseph, and happily running along, and we think they're just slightly ahead of race record pace, about 2:11. So they're rolling along nicely. And the women are definitely going at quicker than race record pace. So don't be under any illusions. They're moving very well here.
So wearing the 14, 28-year-old from Bahrain, Chelchissa. And she's moved through to the front. Couture is in 14. Chelchissa not far behind in the 13 as well.
And Stella Barsocio there, who I think's the favourite to take out the women's race, just there in number 12. You'll see from the front-on shot.
Yeah, she's looking really, really comfortable. Beautiful, smooth mover. 2:23 marathon run. I mean, that's a class act. That seriously is. So when you said earlier that these women are running faster than we've had before in previous races, it's because the calibre of athletes here now are so much better than in the past.
Yeah,
they're starting to accept that this is a serious marathon to get some good times in.
That's right, and again, they'll look at the record and it's 2:28, and these are 2:23, 2:24 runners. They'll be saying, well, we can run that. any day of the week. So for them, this is wrong. This is not unexpected. This is a normal race for them.
And we've seen a lot of the Australians as well, because the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival actually hosts the Australian Marathon Championships. Of course, optimal forward planning for athletes and coaches preparing to take on the world at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. And Athletics Australia, the proud owner of the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. So terrific, obviously, to have that as a big part of it, and what a great opportunity for them to be able to run at this stage.
We won't get the best of the Australian marathon runners because they'll be heading up to Doha for the World Championships in a few weeks, but certainly we'd love to see someone come out of this event and make the marathon team in the men's and women's, and certainly even just as a stepping stone.
Blackmores are fantastic supporters. The interim managing director for Blackmores Australia and New Zealand is Eric Jean-Maire, and he explains why Blackmores support the event.
So 2019 marks the 16th year that Blackmores is sponsoring the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. Since we started, people have raised more than $20 million to give back to the community. And for this year only, we're targeting to raise more than $2 million, which is fantastic. Blackmores is passionate about supporting the people on their journey to well-being, so encouraging everyone to have activity, to have a sort of physical activity, just to look after the body. You have only one body and you need to look after it. This year, close to 40,000 people from all around the world are joining us for this great event, and we're very proud and happy to be part of it.
Terrific support, and the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival's raised more than $21 million for Australian charities since its inception. This year, the Leukemia Foundation and Beyond Blue are the headline charities, and more than 100 other official charities are supported by people taking part in this event. When we say people taking part, it's grown to nearly 40,000 runners on a Sunday morning in Sydney, just basking in the sunlight.
And you say it quickly, Ian, but 21 million, that's fantastic. And that's one of the things that these mass participation marathons around the world has been able to bring. And people will run because of an emotional reason. And it's quite an emotional event to run the marathon. So, you know, not only are they raising big money and awareness, it's, you know, it's a personal challenge. So good on the people who are out there doing it for a charity today.
Well, as you say, 2 million just in this event. This year, 2 million towards charity. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for one day's event, isn't it, really? So fantastic achievement by everybody out there, not just in the marathon, but in all the other events here today.
And we talk about growing the event. Pond 3, of course, have been a massive part of that. They've grown participation from about 12 or 13,000 to nearly 40,000, making the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival the largest running festival in Australia and one of only 2 IAAF gold label marathons in the country. So well done to Pond 3.
Oh, terrific performance from the organisation, because we see the end result. We see the runners, we see the effort that's going in for the runners, but what you don't see is the massive amount of preparation for an event like this. From everybody, the communities,
12 months. I mean, they'll be planning next year's tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
The volunteers, everything.
We just saw them take a bit of a drink there. Can you believe it? 80,000 biodegradable cups of electrolyte will be consumed. So thinking about the environment, but also thinking about the athletes that need to sustain that hydration.
And it will get a little bit warm by the end of today. We're looking at temperatures of the mid-20s. So if you're thinking 5-hour, 6-hour marathon runners, and they'll need to certainly look after their hydration along the way. So you need those fluids. And whilst the cups are biodegradable, our bodies aren't, so we want to make sure we get everyone through this event safely.
Well, Ben's pushing it on again. He sensed, I think, that the pace has dropped a little bit there. Apramoy just dropping off from his usual shoulder to shoulder with Ben, dropping back there about 6 or so metres just behind him, and then another gap again of about 10 metres or so for that group of elite athletes just behind him.
Back to our women, and we are here now. Our stats man Dean's letting us know that the women are ahead of race record as we're picking, but the men are close to race record, and obviously Benny Saints wanting to get them a little bit ahead of that. So his 2:09 pace is a bit quicker than they're running at the moment, but the women here are right on, and Bornes Kadera's been very aggressive in this group, and there's Barsocio as well. So good field of women here, so we've got a real race here as well.
And they've got the men to help them there, obviously, as well, just chugging along nicely. There's a good group. I think you get into that sort of almost group sort of mentality when you're in that race, don't you, really, Steve? I think, you know, that it's you're running together, you're comfortable, no one's really suffering at this stage.
No, I would be sitting in behind Dion, but they've got their own race, and it's unusual. There's really only 2 men and the 4 women there who are pushing the pace along, and this is fast running, so we're seeing a very aggressive race pretty early on here in the women's.
So the area they're travelling through at the moment is Centennial Park, a stunning part of the city, historically important as the birthplace of the nation as well. You might see one of the dome buildings we go past. That was the site of Federation for Australia. So nearly 130 years Centennial Park has been a big part of the Sydney CBD, and perfect vantage point maybe if you're just enjoying a little bit of light breakfast or maybe a bit of brunch. You can head out there and of course see some of the world's elite runners going past your front door.
That's a drink station. That's a coffee drink station, that one in there, I think. Look at that view. It's beautiful through Centennial Park. And they wind around in here. They use the park very well now to get some extra distance rather than heading out. And you talk about the history of this event, and it's a follow-on from the Sydney Olympics, and it's great to see that legacy has been able to, not just a legacy, it's alive. We're seeing so many people out on the road today as a result. You talk about legacy, but here we have people, they're speaking with their feet, that are doing it today.
Now, Ben St Lawrence work might be done here at almost the 15-kilometre mark, Steve Moneghetti.
Well, that's interesting, yeah. I reckon he might be making a conscious decision. He's saying, come on, look, I reckon he's there, he'll get through halfway. So he'll keep going, I think, and he's probably saying, look, we're dropping off the pace a bit here. I'm coming back to let you know, if you want to get the record today, I'm only going to be here for another 6 or 7 kilometres. Use me while you can, but you need to get up on pace. And I think he's probably just letting them know that they're just on record pace rather than being ahead of it, which he'd like to be.
Apramoy, though, I don't think he's really too worried about Ben St Lawrence. He's been virtually taking up the lead himself from the word go. And he's an athlete with class athlete, really. And if he keeps this going, I don't know, maybe he decided this is his day. But as you say, it's early days in the marathon. You're always telling me that. And if he's just doing it now, then maybe he's taking the pace for the other Africans. Maybe they've decided to use him as a bit of a pacemaker too.
Yeah, I think he's probably, pushing the pace a little bit quicker than he needs to at this stage. He's a 2.8 marathon runner, but he's got a couple of 2.5, 2.6 guys behind him. So I'd be in the pack if I was him. But good to see that he's taking it up and trying to keep it rolling.
A 2:08.26 is the PB for Joseph Apramoy, the 29-year-old from Kenya.
You never know with the Kenyans, though, Steve. I mean, they could have some sort of organisation of who goes where and what to do. They do that, and then at the end of the day, if there's prize money, they split it up between themselves. That's the way they work. It's a team effort sometimes.
That doesn't look like a team effort to me. I think he's out running hard by himself.
He's doing really well. He's pushing on. He really is.
We're at the 15k mark of the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival.
Well, the gap's opening up. Apramoy's pushing on, and Ben is, as you said, he's still carrying on. He's not dropping off at that 15-kilometre point for the pace. He's decided, you said, to do his job, go to the half.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to encourage that second group to get on pace, and he's got a job to do and he wants to deliver, and he's realising that the pace is, they're letting him go.
I mean, it's always easy for us to say that they're going to go for the record, but maybe mentally they're thinking, no, I want to win this race. Maybe that group behind is thinking, no, there's too many good athletes here. I don't want to push too hard. I want to race. I want to race them.
And they're still on. They actually are on record pace, so they'll come home quicker in the second half when it gets into the serious end of the business. So I'm not as worried about them not being on the pace just yet. But this course, can roll a bit in the second. I think it's a hard course to negative split, so I would like them to be a little bit ahead. As we're seeing with the women, you know, they're a couple of minutes, well and truly, if they're on 2:24 pace, they're 3 or 4 minutes ahead of race record. So they're going well, and they've got a nice established pack here. So that's what you'd want with the men, but we're not quite seeing that at the moment.
There's a great aerial shot of Centennial Park. Look at that. That is a magnificent park to have so close to the CBD. It really is on top of the CBD. And it gives them a great, well, I suppose, middle part of the race to run through. Beautiful park.
Yeah, it just ticks off a few kilometres. A nice, beautiful area. It's flat in there. You get a little bit of cooling breeze off the little ponds in there as well. So this is a beautiful area to be running. And you're seeing there the shadows. So the sun is out, which, you know, I also think may be a reason that they're just sitting back, because it might get a little bit warm in the second half of this race. Well, that's getting to be a serious break now. But
yeah, well, Abramoy really is pushing it on. Ben is not letting him go though, so Ben really isn't concentrating on the group behind to lead them through. He's thinking, well, this is the race pace that we need to go for a record.
Yeah, so he's in between. He's actually having a bit of trouble, because he's thinking, do I keep running on pace with Joseph, or do I go back where the race is
and help them out?
So he's betwixt and between, but he's doing a great job, but it's harder than I'm sure he thought it was going to be.
Well, suffering there at the back, just dropping off there.
That's Kip Karui, so that's a surprise.
And our finish line is going to be the Sydney Opera House, an international icon joining Hyde Park Barracks, Cockatoo Island and the Old Great North Road in representing outstanding universal values of World Heritage listing. That is where our finish line will be for the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. And not only the 10K, but also the half marathon and also the marathon as well. So they're making their way through Centennial Park at the moment. Centennial Park, just a wonderful, wonderful urban location on the doorstep of the CBD, and wonderful greenery that the Sydney siders and international visitors alike can enjoy when they head into Sydney town.
As Steve said, though, it is starting to warm up a bit now. Temperatures creeping up from the early morning start for the marathon runners, but they've got to watch out.
I think we might be seeing... I think that chasing pack might be starting to get into their work. There we go. Now that's a surprise, Steve. That's Kip Karui.
Yeah, looks like he's suffering from cramp, or he didn't just slow down, he literally just stopped. So he's suffering there maybe from the back by the looks of it.
Yeah, so
Kip Karui, the 34-year-old Kenyan who you gentlemen nominated as a genuine chance today. Looks like he might be having cramp, potentially calf, or is he reaching round to the top of the hamstring there, potentially, Monners?
It's just not his day. You know, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you'll say you've got something. It's not his day today, so he's probably got a bit of cramp, or maybe he had an issue coming in we didn't know about, and it looks like it's pulled him up pretty early on.
So he got towards the 15-16K mark, but has stopped in Centennial Park, certainly at the moment. The man that's been out in front for most of the day in the Blackmores green singlet is Joseph Abramoy, the 29-year-old from Kenya. Benson Lawrence, we know in the white, has been doing the pace setting and dropped back at one stage, but has now obviously got back onto what would be record pace.
Abramoy, I don't know what he's doing out there in front there. I mean, he's not using Benson Lawrence at all to help him through. He's just keeping almost 2 or 3 metres in front of Ben. There he is, just chugging away. Maybe this is the way he likes to run. I don't know. I mean, as Steve said earlier, it would be nice if he just tucked in and used Ben, but he doesn't seem to want to do that. And maybe this is the way that he runs normally in marathon races, and well, if that's the case, he's doing just what he wants to do.
Yeah, no, you know, it's still a long way to go. They're only 17 kilometres into this 42-kilometre race. So, and he looks like he's running almost like a track running or a shorter road race. He's really rolling. So, you know, it's not an efficient-looking running action. So I think he's probably slightly more aggressive than than I would want. But
Funny
anyway.
thing is, though, that you're watching Ben St. Lawrence doesn't give him anything, does he? Doesn't look across and say, slow down,
No.
I'm here to help you. He just lets him do his own thing, and Ben just does what he's been told to do, which is, I think, take him through the first half in a reasonable pace, 65, 64, that sort of rhythm.
Yeah.
So, of course, there is a number of events that take place on this beautiful Sunday morning, and one of the most popular is the Blackmores 10-kilometre bridge run, and again the start from Milson's Point, and we've got record entries in this one as well. The bridge run, 16,000 competitors. The 10K, I know it's a very, very popular. As I said, Mona's son Matthew is running it. Also family connections for me running in it as well with my wife Bronwyn. But the finish at Sydney Opera House, and about to get underway in the 10-kilometre, the bridge run. And this is a terrific, terrific initiative, and one that really makes the whole thing very, very accessible, because some people say, I reckon I can do 10Ks, Monas.
Well, yes, it's very popular, and over 16,000, so this is the biggest numbers event today, and 10K, and people will have their personal best, so they'll be looking to run faster than that, or as close to that as they can on a perfect day like today.
Yeah, they've all got their watches, just about to click their watches at the start.
So Blackmores officials getting it underway. And you can see the blue sky in the background. The 10K is underway, and you can see them heading out. And again, it's a matter of getting a little bit of oxygen and free space to be able to swing the arms and get into a bit of rhythm.
I hope my son's in there. I didn't see him, but he's there somewhere, hopefully.
I saw him.
You got him? Good. So massive
crowd. I was going to say, this is really what fun run's about, the 10Ks, I think. It's a good distance, as you said, Ian, for enjoying yourself, being part of this massive festival here today. And running across the bridge as well, that's another significant thing to have, isn't it, really? You can say that you've run across the bridge. Fantastic.
Well, this is a big part of it. Over 60 countries are represented today. There's 3,500 international runners, nearly 7,000 interstate runners, and of course a financial boon for Sydney and New South Wales in general. Nearly $18 million will be the economic impact of the 2019 Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. So that's why Destination New South Wales certainly key partners in this event, and it continues to go from strength to strength, and the 10K record numbers in there for that.
And I think that, you know, the Sydney Harbour Bridge and the Opera House are synonymous with Australia and this world-famous city of Sydney. So to say that you run, you don't have to tell anyone twice. They get it. They know if you say you run over the bridge, that's a monumental effort.
I think if you're a runner, jogger, or whatever, you've got to treat this as one of the bucket list events, haven't you, to do? Because I can't think of really even some of the big city marathons that I've been to where you finish in front of an iconic place like the Sydney Opera House.
Approaching the 20K mark, Felix Kiprotich has now moved up to the man who was out there very much by himself in Joseph Apramoy. So Kiprotich has obviously decided this is now where I'll make a move up to the leader.
Yeah, and then again, he's our pre-race favourite, a very experienced marathon runner, ran very, very fast, much faster than the pace they've been running. So this isn't, and he looks pretty relaxed too.
That's a good point that Steve mentioned previously about the two differences in style. There you can see really the smooth running of Kiprotich there on the right, as opposed to maybe Apramoy, who looks more like a track runner. His arms are a bit more aggressive, his legs are a bit more powerful.
And that's what you look at. Look at the legs and the knee lift, because I can tell you Apramoy will not have that knee lift at the 40-kilometre mark, because you can't, because the fatigue will have hit in. So you want to be more efficient. So you can see Felix Kiprotich is very efficient, great-looking marathon style.
And how good for these people who are running to the left of frame here. They can actually see what sort of pace the elite runners are at. They can wave as they see them. They will not see them until the finish line when they're on the podium collecting the medals. But what a great opportunity for the average weekend warrior to be able to say, wow, that's marathon.
We all start on the same start line, we all cross the finish line, and we all are out enjoying the roads together.
I suppose we must point out, obviously, it looked like Ben St. Lawrence has decided that was enough for him at that stage, and he just clicked off at around about the 17K mark.
Yeah, so, and he set the pace up nicely, and whilst he's a bit aggressive, he's got it done.
So we're heading towards the halfway mark. Sydney, Sunday morning, for the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. So wearing 14, Bonnes Couture. And it is, of course, the Australian marathon title in there as well.
Massocio there, she is just on the inside there, blue, looking very comfortable. I think we've all said that she's the one to watch. Just moving up onto the shoulder or the inside of Couture. Again, a lovely move, a lovely, smooth, relaxed style. But it is early days still, and they're all grouping together, these women, which is good.
Yes, yeah, and Josephine Chepkowicz just tucked in behind there, number 9, so setting them all up. These 4 women look like they've formed that pack. They're happy with the pace. You can see the difference here. They're just in their zone. They're just rolling along very comfortably here. Dion doing a good job.
Well, moving back now to the men, you can see really the pre-race favourite, I suppose, if there was one amongst all the Kenyans, is Felix Kiprotich there, just moving up onto the shoulder, maybe into the lead now.
Yes, 2:05.33 PB from Daegu earlier this year when he won there, so it's phenomenal running. Just you know, he's well and truly ahead of the record pace that he needs to be on. For him, this would be just a normal run, so he doesn't have to do anything superhuman. He just has to perform like he has done many times before.
Well, just for a quick glance there, Apramoy just looked over his shoulder for the first time in about an hour or so to see who was coming up behind, and they're coming up fast, actually. That's Kunyunga with number 5 on, and just behind that, I think, is Kemboy. So this group now of 4 Kenyans are really battling it out. Apramoy, though, hasn't surrendered the lead yet, but you can see that style of his, as Steve said, very bouncy, on his toes all the time. And that's going to, I think, pay a little bit of a toll later on. But he's still a decent marathon. I mustn't dismiss him, I suppose. But he's now surrounded by perhaps a group of other athletes which are a little bit better.
Yeah, we're into the race now, no doubt about that. And there's Kemboy left of screen, who's our defending champion, and he looks pretty relaxed as well. So we're on the money here. Silas 2, their number 7 tucked in behind as well. So we really got the protagonists that we expected to be up there. Although, you know, Kip Karui dropping out, that's there's always, you have different lead-ins, different issues on the day. So we've got a pretty established pack now, though.
And one mustn't forget, just at the back there, just chugging along about 10 metres behind, is the Japanese there, Sasaki. He's still in there. He's just working his way slowly back to try and get into this group of 5 of the Kenyans.
And he's got a 2:08 PB as well, so well credentialed.
Opened in 1932, the Sydney Harbour Bridge is a world-renowned symbol of Australia. Positioned across Sydney's breathtaking natural harbour, the bridge has become one of the most photographed features of Sydney, and climbing it is absolutely brilliant, a very popular tourist experience. You climb at a slower pace than what these ladies, also our Australian in there, Dion as well, and the men are just a bit further up the road as part of the Blackmores Sydney Marathon, heading towards the halfway mark, Centennial Park, and they obviously run right through Centennial Park. They zig and zag before heading back towards the CBD.
Well, not quite up to the halfway mark there, but you can just see the pace they're running at. There was the cyclist on the other side there was riding pretty hard to keep up with these women at the moment. There you go, look, just ticking along on the outside there. So they're, as Steve said, they're running really well, these women. They're really putting the pace in early.
And we'll get a gauge pretty shortly. You can see they're through 18k and around the park. So once we hit 21k, we'll get some idea. But I'm sensing that they're pretty comfortably under race record pace at the moment, and a good pack of women.
Sasaki there, the Japanese athlete, pulled right back there at that feeding station. He actually got up right up to the rest of the other athletes there at the floor of the race.
Well, he needs to be on this pack. This is where the winner's going to come from, and also as we know in a marathon, if you drop off and you're running by yourself, it can be very difficult mentally. So it's a lot easier running on them. Even if it's only a couple of seconds quicker, it's better to be in a pack and being able to get that carry of the feeling of being in the lead pack.
Well, Abramoy, his usual technique there at the front again, just pushing ahead.
He looks like the pacemaker. I'm surprised
Yeah.
he's been so aggressive. It's from basically from the get-go.
I was going to say maybe they've had a word, between themselves, and he's probably said, "Look, I can pace you through halfway." And if that's what he's doing, then he's doing a really good job. He didn't obviously need Ben St. Lawrence, but having said that, is he going to keep going at this rhythm or not? It's one of those things we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, well, we're seeing them through 20k at just under 62, so they're really on. They're in the mid 210s, which is they're going to need to keep this pace rolling. That course record 2:11.18 is. It's just in their sights at the moment, and as I say, the back end will be difficult.
Yeah,
so.
You said that they can't do a negative split, or they will do a negative split.
Well, there is a good pack here, so a couple can really push on because there's so many in the pack, but it's always difficult just to increase pace. It's okay to hold, very difficult to increase.
Do you think if they get to the halfway point, though, and they realise they're not in with a chance of breaking the record, they go into race mode? They start thinking of, I'm going to win it, rather than go for the record?
No, I think they'll go the other way. I think they'll suddenly realise that if we are going to get the record, we need to start getting going now. So I think that we may see that pack break up when they realise that they're just on about 2:10 to 11 pace. They'll probably want to be a little bit quicker.
Destination New South Wales, of course, the support of strategic partnerships like that has seen the event go to IAAF Gold status, putting it on the same podium as London, New York and Boston, of course. So the New South Wales government certainly key partners. The Minister for Tourism, here's Stuart Ayres.
The New South Wales government, through its major events and marketing agency Destination New South Wales, is really proud to be supporting this year's Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. And this event has become one of the most iconic running events anywhere in the world. We've seen over 12,500 people come to Sydney to participate in this event, and last year it generated over $10 million in visitor expenditure. So not only being a fantastic and fun event, it's also something that really supports jobs right across Sydney. Get out and enjoy Sydney at its absolute best. Enjoy the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival.
A terrific event both on and off the course as well. So Destination New South Wales, key partners with the Sydney Blackmores Running Festival. And we talk about it being a festival because there is the family walk, there is the 10K, there is the half marathon, and there's what we can see here, the full 42-kilometre distance. And this is our lead group.
Yeah, so we've got Kunyaga there, number 5. Camboy defending champion 4, Silas 2 in behind number 7, and then of course looking at Aparamoy, who's been in that front and prominent, and Felix Kiprotich. So all except Kip Karui, our favourites, are right in that group, and our Japanese Satoru Sasaki as well. So I think they've settled a little bit now. Pacemakers, Benny stepped off, and they've settled into a good rhythm.
Yeah, well, 10 victories to the Kenyans and 4 to the Japanese in the past, so this is formatting into that sort of thing again, isn't it, really? But they're stacked up against Sasaki there with the other athletes around him, I think.
Yes.
So after spending time in Centennial Park, they're now heading back past the Sydney Cricket Ground. You can see the gates on the left-hand side of the frame there, and of course our regular runners, our everyday mums and dads and brothers and sisters just enjoying the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival in there. Quite a few running with phones and trying to take pictures of the elite runners, but the pace with which they're going past you is phenomenal.
Yes, and we're getting through halfway in around 2:11 pace, so they're right on that record pace. Keep in mind that record from 2014, Gameda's 2:11.18, so there's a good pack there, so I'm not concerned yet, but that'll be front and centre of their mind. They want to win the race, but they do want to run fast and get that record bonus.
We've just ticked over the halfway point, but you don't talk about marathons in terms of a halfway point numerically at 21 kilometres. You have a different point for the halfway, don't you?
I do. Well, we sort of say 30. I like to go 28 because, 14K, 28K, 42, you're 2/3 of the way through the distance on the measure, but you are halfway because the last 14K isn't like the first 14, let me tell you. So halfway is about 28K in feeling, you know, if you're out there, you know, if you run a marathon, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you run a good marathon, you may not. If you run a bad one, you clearly understand my theory.
You've got the cement boots on for the final 14 kilometres, is that right?
Exactly. And that's what we've got to understand. You know, you're not only, we're talking about the race and the times they're running out the front, but you're fighting internally. You've trained for so many years to get on the start line, and then within the race, things happen. You know, you have some bad spots, you have some ups and downs. For all of us, for everyone that runs today in this marathon, you will go through life experiences in the 2, 3, 4, 5 hours you're out there.
We can see our leaderboard for the women. Couture has certainly been up and most prominent.
And I'm adding, that's 20 kilometres, so I'm adding about 3.5 minutes on there, and you are seeing 72, 224, well under that 228 race record
If they
pace.
go on at that, that's a great performance. It really is.
This is world-class women's marathon.
It really is,
running.
yeah. It really, really is. Couture, though, she's been doing virtually the same as Apramoy. She's been leading that group of women all the way through up until now. Just behind, though, I think you can see that the other athletes are just using her really to key off her, but they're not losing any ground. Apramoy, there he is, number 6. The Blackmores vest, still doing what he does. He's just keeping up at the front there.
I love Felix Kiprotich, just has the perfect marathon style. Very relaxed arms, looking very comfortable. If you're picturing a marathon runner and you're saying what's the ideal marathon running action, there you are, number 1, front of screen.
So just having a look at the way the arms are raised, and the fists of Apramoy traverse a lot more than what Kiprotich at the moment. He's a much more narrow and compact style. So you're saying Apramoy with that raised fist and the high knee lift?
Look how far his feet are going back, as Steve said. You know, he's a track runner. You can see that. He's bouncing along on his toes, whereas on the inside there, Kiprotich is just, you can almost see Kiprotich looking across and having a chat to someone very casually. You know, it's not taking much out of him. There's a big difference, really big difference in terms of effort, economy of effort.
The Blackmores Sydney Running Festival over the duration since its inception, and we're now heading towards a second and third decade. $21 million has been raised so far. One of the lead charities this year is the Leukemia Foundation.
My name's Elle Halliwell. I have been working with the Leukemia Foundation for about 3 years since I myself was diagnosed with blood cancer. The Leukemia Foundation is a fantastic organisation which supports people who are living with blood cancer as well as their families. They also fund research into finding, hopefully one day, a cure. One of the great programs that the Leukemia Foundation has is called the Blood Buddies program. Now, this is something that I reached out to early on in my diagnosis, and the Leukemia Foundation managed to track down someone who had been in a similar situation, who I got to talk to, and it was because of that I just didn't feel so alone. It was a really, really great way to support other people in the community who are living with blood cancer.
Yeah, so well done to Al, and of course to all the other runners. There's over 100 official charities where runners will actually raise money for a charity just by completing the event as well. So brilliant to not only the more prominent people who raise money for charity, but also just the everyday person that also wants to run and be a part of the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival.
And back to Steve's point, Ian, one of the measures is your bounce from your shoulder and your head. So as we're looking at this front shot, the efficiency is measured by the amount of vertical movement in your shoulders and head. And Paula Ratcliffe, who holds the world record for women's marathon running, whilst her head used to shake around a lot, apparently her shoulders were almost immovable vertically, and that's why she was so successful. So whilst we look at the legs being efficient, we also want to see how much vertical, because honestly, you don't want to waste energy by jumping vertically, because in this event you want to go horizontal as quick as you possibly can.
So how hard is that to train into a man or a woman if you come in with a natural gait, a natural running style? Steve Ovett saying that the track athletes just can't actually get across. Steve, would you have been a chance at a marathon?
No possible way. My bounce was, I think I was going up more than I was going forward at some stages. So no, I think that you have to be genetically predisposed to that, really, to be certain. I was born to be a track runner, and I think that's the way that I evolved. Steve, on the other hand, marathon's perfect for him.
Yeah, I think you can train to lose that bounce, and that's why we talk about the preparation and the mileage to allow you to become more efficient.
I think fatigue would have actually made me bounce a lot less, to be honest. But
yeah, not too much bounce when you're walking.
This is also our Blackmores Bridge runners as well. 16,500 competitors. Fantastic. 10 kilometres is ahead for these athletes.
Well, the women's still there. That group hasn't really changed too much, and Couture's doing all that she's done so far in this race. Another great, really, front running from the Kenyan. Looking very comfortable. Just, as Steve said, not much movement there in the shoulders, just rocking side to side. You'd expect that, really. Just behind her, though, Basosio, the one that we think could be a real danger. She's looking a little bit sort of stressed, maybe, or not. Just behind there, you can see Kip Koech. So these three are just ticking along nicely.
So Basosio, the Kenyan 26-year-old, certainly one of the prominent runners here. It is also the Australian marathon title up for grabs. You can see one of the Aussies there. Dion has certainly been at the forefront, and he'll be looking for that title, I would think.
Yeah, he's looking good, but I mean, at the same time, let's not forget that the weather is starting to pick up now. They're getting a little bit warmer than it was earlier on, so these athletes starting to suffer a little bit more. Just tucked in behind there. Chalchisa just maybe suffering a little bit there in the white vest, red shorts, at the back of that group of, what is it, 6 now.
So Chalchisa from Bahrain, the 28-year-old. 2:28.50 is her personal best.
This is a really good class field, though, Ian. I mean, this is probably the best field we've had in terms of depth for the women, and that's why they're running so fast, because they all know that they can run under virtually record pace, all of them, without any problems at all. And what they're doing is really just using Couture to key off at this stage of the race, just over halfway, as Steve said, perhaps not mentally just over halfway, but they're going through, taking on plenty of fluids, which is really important. And if they click this through, this is record pace, it really is.
So we might see a record to unfold in the women's event. The men have had a pace setter early, and we'll wait and see if they are able to maintain that record pace. It looks like Apramoya's got out by himself at the moment as they make their way back through Hyde Park and the Archibald Fountain.
Yeah, Apramoya now is putting a bit of a spurt on him. We call him a track runner, and he's literally sprinted away there, about, what, 20 metres or so, Steve?
Yeah, he's off again. He can't
contain himself, can he?
There, no.
But that's what the marathon is about, though, isn't it? Containing, waiting, because the pain comes later in the race.
And nestled between a tranquil inner Harvey beach on one side and a popular Pacific Ocean surf beach on the other, Manly combines a laid-back attitude with a sophisticated dining scene and stylish shopping as well. Sydney's most famous ferry ride leads to Manly, an iconic journey that's not to be missed. Manly Beach, certainly a special place here in Sydney. The Blackmores Sydney Marathon, we have passed the halfway point. Steve Moneghetti, Olympic gold medalist, and Steve Ovett, Olympic gold medalist. Steve Moneghetti, a Commonwealth Games gold medalist as well. Monis, I just upgraded you there a little bit on the medal win.
Thanks very much. I'll take that. Wouldn't I love to be that legend, Steve Ovett, alongside us.
So Apramoy's jumped off the front again after they came back together for a couple of kilometres, but Apramoy seems determined to be that man out in front.
He does, and it's again, you're not going to keep harping on it, but in a marathon you tick off as many kilometres as you can. So in the pack you're a lot more relaxed and you're not seeing the distance up the road. You do get a clear run into your drink station, as we're seeing there, but I just think you want to be in the pack and be sparing as much energy as you can. You don't want to overwork. They're through 25 kilometres there, and maybe they've just looked at that pace and want to keep it rolling a bit more, but they're all through that drink station pretty well.
So 17 drink stations we have got there. You could see they actually picked up, while everyone else has cups, for the elite runners there was their own drink bottles distinguished by name and colour, and you could see Apramoy was the first to collect that. What's the difference, Steve Moneghetti?
So they will have their own specific drink, so they will have trained using that drink, so with electrolytes, and they are only allowed to take their own drink, and they have to submit that the night before, and so it's regulated, making sure it's in a secure place, and they can only take their own drink because you don't want it to be spiked or someone else putting something in your drink or getting one by mistake. So if they do a drug test at the end of the event, they have taken fluid on board that they're well aware of and used to.
Change in proceedings here. Apramoy now out the back in the lighter green singlet, the Blackmores singlet. We can see him number 6, and Felix Kiprotich has now taken charge of this group.
So now we see, and I think that's probably expected. We predicted it a bit early, and I think he probably had one last effort and thought, I'm going to really go and see how I'm feeling here, but now he's starting to really suffer from, I think, being a bit aggressive early on.
So the elastic band is starting to be stretched for Apramoy, who has certainly been prominent for the first 23, 24 kilometres, along with our pace centre in Ben St Lawrence. But now it seems the lead group is starting to really make some distance.
Yes, and he's looked behind, so he's conscious. He's not look. When you start looking behind, you're aware that you're slowing. That's a telltale sign, and yeah. So he's done. I think we can probably say it's down to a group of 4 Kenyans and our lone Japanese, Satoru Sasaki.
So the numbers that we see them wearing the A1 is Felix Kiprotich. Our defending champion Elijah Kemboy is in the number 4 in there as well. We've seen Apramoy out the back, and this is where we are expecting our winner now to be able to come from. And Sasaki, the Japanese runner in the white singlet, the 33-year-old from Japan, he's done a 2:08.56. So Sasaki will certainly be there, you would suggest, when the whips are cracking.
Yeah, he's doing well, yeah. He's keeping up there, and that's the most important thing, just to wait and see what he can do. I mean, he's not going to do anything heroic before that, I don't think, Steve is. He's going to wait and see what was thrown down in front of him, I think, by the other Africans.
Yeah, and the Japanese have got a really good record, as we've mentioned here before. So, and their marathon history is incredible. They've got their Olympic trial on today. The women's is today, I think. So, you know, they're going to, they've got a huge reputation as marathon runners, so don't underestimate Sasaki as well.
Just seeing the women there, it looks like Chelchisa also out the back, the 28-year-old running under the Bahrain flag. So Chelchisa at the moment looking like she was out the back in the white singlet. As we can see, some of the nearly 40,000 runners. The numbers are absolutely brilliant. We've got 5,500 entries for the 42-kilometre, the Blackmores Sydney Marathon, nearly 10,000 competitors in the Blackmores Half Marathon, over 8,000 competitors in the Family Run, and the Blackmores Bridge Run, 16,500 competitors as well. Great numbers, terrific support for athletics, because people come from international venues, they come from interstate as well, and great to see our elite runners here too.
Yes, and down to a race in 3 in the women's by the looks of it there. So that quick pace is certainly found out. Unlucky number 13.
Were you superstitious like that if you were running with a number 13, Monners?
Oh, well, I used to have we have a rule that you want to finish higher than your number, but after winning a few races, they keep giving me number 1. It's pretty hard to finish higher than number 1, so
well,
not really superstitious.
A sport you know a bit about, Steve Ovett cycling, they turn the number upside down when it's on the back of the jersey.
They do, yeah. There's a bit of worry if you get that number in cycling, yeah, because you're going downhill at 80k an hour with nothing between you and tarmac apart from a bit of lycra. Yes, you're going to worry a little bit.
Athletes making their way across the bridge run, and it is spectacular. We said earlier in the broadcast, the bridge is only shut twice per year, once for the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival and once on New Year's Eve, which we know is a terrific celebration. So a wonderful and a rare occasion for everyone who competes here.
Interesting battle going on here, really, if you think about it, Steve. You've got the reigning champion Kemboy against perhaps the pre-race favourite Kiprotich. Those two those two could have a bit of a battle actually over, because you know Ken Boy knows the course, he knows what to happen. And last year he ran really well, very comfortable winner last year.
Yes, he did, and you know that's the difference. And whereas Kiprotich he's the better, well credentialed, but it doesn't matter. They're both at such a high level that either could win. So certainly having won before does give you a distinct advantage.
This shows some of the forethought too going into this event, where a couple of the main roads are bridged, which means that obviously they can get the joy of running through Hyde Park and then straight on to the continuation of it. And terrific effort by Pond 3, the organisers, Athletics Australia, everyone involved to be able to make sure that it's a seamless transition.
Yeah, a little pinch. I never like going up and down those little bridges. Just can be a bit annoying and
changing gear
on your rhythm. Yeah, but they've managed to get over there pretty comfortably. Nice shaded part through Hyde Park as well, so they'll really appreciate that shade. Beautiful through that section of the course. So they've sort of done that section out Centennial Park. They've come back into town. Now they wander out around the harbour. So they've still got still got a lot of running to go. You don't think they're coming back towards the finish line. We've got another hour or so of running here.
Well, we forget about the harbour, don't we? We talk about the bridge, we talk about the Opera House, but Circular Quay, that in itself is a beautiful area, isn't it? Right by the water. You're literally running right next to the water for a great deal of the race.
And one of the great fountains, of course, is a part of Hyde Park. There's the Archibald Fountain in there. There's the Anzac Memorial, the Pool of Reflection, and plenty of monuments as well. So the women now just making their way through Hyde Park, and again we've got the number 14 of Couture, who's been out in front, the oldest female in the elite category at the age of 32.
Yep, so the Kenyan women prominent, as are the Kenyan men.
Yeah, not much difference between these four really, and just behind them, as you said before, the lone Japanese athlete there, Sasaki, just doing all he has to do really. Still looking comfortable, that's good.
Yes, we haven't spoken too much about Silas too, but he's in the nice spot. That's where you want to sit, just in the pack and rolling on. He's number 7, so there's a good group here. So I think they've settled into that pace, and it's about right on 2:11, so they're just under race record pace at the moment. Looks to me like they've established that Joseph's dropped off, the pace has dropped off, and they're now just in
their rhythm.
Yeah,
they're in their rhythm, they're in their groove now. That's going to be like that for a while, until it gets to, say, the pointy end of the marathon, I think, where they're going to start deciding what they're going to do, race for it or all go for the record.
That's right, yeah. So I think we're seeing that just settle now a little bit through this middle section of the course.
So they're heading in towards the Rocks area, Sydney's historic quarter, the site of the first European settlement, 1788. The neighbourhood cut from sandstone cliffs. It's wonderful scenery rising above the Sydney harbour, and some of the oldest pubs, and I know, Steve Ovett, you'd be very interested as a tourist to Sydney, some of the oldest pubs are in at the Rocks as well.
We'll have to go and sort those out afterwards, I think, make sure that they're still there.
Just in the interest of research, we need to head in there. This is our lead group of men. It started with about 7 or 8 in that lead group. It's now been whittled down to 5. The Japanese runner, Sasaki, is in the white singlet. Kiprotich, who was the man that Steve Ovett and Steve Moneghetti said is the most likely. He is to the left of your frame there with the slightly longer athletic shorts on all the way down to the knees.
So running at 3:14 kilometre pace, Steve. So yeah, they're on the route about the record pace.
Yeah, I'd like it to be a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
I'm not going to deny that. You always want to have a little bit of time up your sleeve, but especially when these guys are, 2.5 and 2.8 marathon runners. We do have Michael Kunyaga. He's there in that pack, and he's 2:10, so he's probably the one who we would expect to struggle a little bit. He's in that blue, and what would you call that? Is that sort of reddish, light red? So he's distinguished the number 5 there. So he's probably the one that's slightly going to find this pace a bit more challenging, but
I think Sasaki,
the other 4 should be fine.
Yeah, I think Sasaki's quite happy at this rhythm, as long as no one starts really pushing it on at this stage. I think he thinks that, well, I'm still in there. I remember the chance. This is the sort of race pace that I can handle. Anything faster than this, he's going to be in trouble, I think.
Yes, but we've got to understand that the course record is 2:11. We keep banging on about the course record. It's 2:11 for a reason. I mean, it's not. They're not going to run 2:1 on this course. So, that's still very good running on this course. So, and they're right on that. But they do look very comfortable at that pace. So I think we've got a really good race on our hands, and they'll be right on race record. And I think that once we get down to the business end, they're going to start kicking it in and sneak under that race record time. And will we have a Kenyan winner?
Well,
betting man would say yes, a betting person.
Well, 1 out of 5, but for the Japanese, it's going to be, looks like it could be, you know, a Kenyan win again. That makes it number 11 out of the history.
Yeah, but we've got a, you know, got a great race on our hands, and you know, at this stage, they're hitting that stage where I say, you know, halfway, and things will happen. Don't. Whilst they're looking very relaxed now, stick tight, stay watching, because it's going to get serious soon.
So many different events. The bridge run with over 16,000 competitors is certainly one of the features, 10 kilometres. And that has been run and won. James Niparis doing it in 30.08. Kieran Tall was in second place, and Bryce Anderson crossing the line in third. So well done to James Niparis. He takes out the 10-kilometre bridge run as part of the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. And look at that vista there. You can see Niparis, the result there. Tall in second place, and also Bryce Anderson as well. So 30 minutes, 30.08 for 10Ks.
3-minute Ks, that's good going. Nipper will be happy with that. Get the win under his belt. A Sydney side, a very experienced steepler and distance runner, Australian distance runner of note. So good run for Nipper.
So we've had a little change at the front of the women's as well. We can still see Socio is there, and also Chipkoech.
Just seeing where Couture is, the one that was leading it up until that stage. Looks like she's dropped off fairly dramatically, or maybe she's just behind the camera crew here on the bike. But Bassocio now starting to push on a bit, and we'd expect that, really. She's the real class act, I think, in the women's race, although you mustn't disrespect some of the other athletes.
So Bassocio, the 26-year-old from Kenya, is in the right of screen there with the purple colours, and wearing number 9, Chipkoech, the 30-year-old from Kenya, in the black singlet.
I wonder whether Couture was just in there to keep the pace going or not. You know, I said before, the Kenyans do like to talk about the race before. They do like to decide who's going to do what. Maybe that was something which was predisposed before, that they were going to let her do the first part of the race and then take it up from there. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see where she is.
I'm not surprised with such a fast pace. I think that was always going to happen.
We're starting to see it at the 26-kilometre mark for the women, 29-kilometre mark for the men, and it looks like Felix Kiprotich, the 31-year-old from Kenya, is now starting to really assert his ascendancy.
And this is significant. So this is not, we're not saying this is just a little gap. This is significant. This is a race-winning break. The most credentialed runner in the field has made a break at the 29-kilometre mark, so this is significant and looking fantastic.
Yeah, he looks fresh, doesn't he? And give credit, though, behind him, Sasaki, the Japanese athlete, going for the break. He was trying to close it down.
So the beautiful Sydney Harbour Bridge, of course, celebrating 85 years, along with Blackmores as well. A famous feature right around the world. You're watching the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. So it looks like the break has been made here by Kiprotich, Felix Kiprotich, the 31-year-old.
Yeah, and he had a bit of a sneak around there saying, well, no one's come with me, so this is it. I can run on and win this race. He just has to hold together. And you don't make a break like that unless you're feeling pretty good, so signs are positive.
Yeah, he looks comfortable, and he's pulling away, even though, you know, it's foreshortened by the camera angle. Sasaki, I think, tried to go with him, but he looks as if he's given up a little bit, and now just tucking in behind the rest of the Kenyan athletes there in second, third, and fourth. So you can see, look at that beautiful style. As Steve said earlier, very relaxed, and he obviously, coming into this race, was the main man, and I think he's waited and waited and waited until everybody else started to fade, and now he's starting to push on.
You know, I think he's 2:05. I think he's about 75th fastest marathon runner of all time in history. So 2:05 is very, very fast running, under 3 minutes per kilometre. So this pace for him is not unexpected and not unusual, and he's not comfortable, but he's certainly pushing on really strongly.
Well, as we saw, that sort of pace that you said, under 3K for the marathon, we just saw Nipris run the 10K over 3K per that just goes you how class act this man is, really.
That's right, exactly. He would win the 10K by over a minute, so
and still keep going.
And still keep going, that's right. So it's good running, and he looks full of running.
Well, 7 seconds there. The chase behind him. He's opened up that 7-second gap pretty quickly. Looks comfortable, taking the hill, whatever little bit it is. Very comfortably indeed. He's pushing on. The gap opening up all the time.
One of these flyovers that we have around in the Sydney CBD. It's not quite as hilly as it looks on that shot there. The camera's deceptive, but it's hilly enough to show that he's still feeling comfortable. He wouldn't be running on as strongly as that.
Looking at his, the calibre of this athlete, he's won so many of the marathons around the world. He knows exactly what he's doing. You know, he's won about 4 or 5 in the past and finished 2nd, 5th and 4th in virtually. He's been up there in all of his marathons. He knows exactly what he's doing. So that break was at the right time to break not only just the rest of the runners, but to make sure that he was comfortably in front, I think, for the rest of the race without any worries.
Some water on board there. Silas 2. Maybe just a sign he's struggling a little bit, I would sense. He's chasing water. He's really looking for it. So. But not this man.
And this is the venue for the race. The Sydney Harbour, surrounded on 3 sides by national parks, a playground on and off the water, an iconic vista. The Sydney Harbour, absolutely spectacular. And it's Darling Harbour at the moment where our runners are as they make their way through Darling Harbour, a lively harbourside precinct. Darling Harbour, one of Sydney's largest dining, shopping and entertaining hubs as well. A very good morning to you if you're just joining us. It is the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. We've got one man who's established a lead out the front, Felix Kiprotich, and also in the women now, leaders are starting to emerge there too. We've passed the 30-kilometre mark, so according to Steve Moneghetti, we're just about over the halfway point. Not mathematically, but mentally for the runners.
Yeah, and we're seeing that certainly the way that the races have broken up. And just for people at home just tuning in, the women are running really fast pace, well ahead of race record pace, whereas the men are right on that race record pace, and we're sensing that Felix Kiprotich has made a race-winning break and is probably injecting a bit of pace to make sure he gets that race record.
This is Stella Barsosio, who is out the front at the moment. Of course, the women's 10-kilometre bridge run as well, a great event, over 16,000 competitors in the bridge run. We've seen the men's results a little bit earlier, but the women have also had a fantastic run as well, and they get the advantage of being able to run all the way across the bridge, and we'll get to those winners in just a moment. But Barsosio at the moment is working her way around through the rocks area as part of the marathon.
Dion Finicaro, they're doing a good job, and we're seeing that they're probably not the gap that the men have got, but certainly a significant break there for Stella Barsosio, 2:23 marathon runner, and again probably the pre-race favourite we mentioned going in.
Kiprotich really piling it on, isn't he, really? I mean, you said that negative slip might be difficult, but the way he's running at the moment, Steve, he looks like he's really picked up the pace.
And Dean's letting me know it is a bit quicker, so they've ducked under that 2:11 pace. So he's certainly, this break hasn't happened because the others have slowed. He's injected some pace.
Sasaki, though, I think, has decided that he's just going to move ahead now, just to try and get into his rhythm. He's a long way back from the lead there, but working hard, doing well.
Yeah, and Kenyaga there trying to just break. I think they're realising this is significant. You know, they're still going to be on the dais, but you want to win and you want to break the record. And if you're going to win the race, you need to cover this break.
Still 10K or so, 11K to go. So it was an early break, but a confident one, I think.
Yes, and I think the only thing we could see here is the weather. You know, if it is a little bit warmer out there, that Felix Kiprotich might start to struggle at the back end, but at the moment he's looking clearly our winner. So the pre-race favourites in both the men's and women's looking like they've established a decisive break.
So Kiprotich has still got 10 kilometres to go. For some people, the 10 kilometres is the whole event, and the bridge run is brilliant. This is our women's winner, Marnie Ponton, in 34 minutes. Lauren Reid, a new mum, was second in 34.30, and then Michelle Pearson in 35.30 as well. So well done to Marnie, and you can see the results board there. 34.21 for Marnie Ponton, Lauren Reid 34.31, and 35.30 for our third place getter in Michelle Pearson. And back to the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival Marathon. The beautiful sights in and around the harbour. Darling Harbour we spoke about. It's got things like Sea Life Sydney Aquarium, Wildlife Sydney, scenic waterfront promenades, alfresco cafes, bars, restaurants, and also nightclubs as well. A lot of people come to Sydney for a whole weekend and maybe get inside and have a look at some of those nightclubs as well as the alfresco cafes.
I do remember the Sydney Olympics, this course that we're remembering. I think they're coming out of the nightclubs up at Oxford Street when we were running past a few times.
Yeah, that's a bit too tempting, really, isn't it, I suppose? Anyway, getting back to the serious part of the race, this guy's really motoring on, isn't he? He's pushing the pace. The gap is opening up all the time, really is. And this is a class act. He's after the record, he's after the win as well, so that's fantastic running.
Well, you talk about the Sydney Olympics, and this is the only participation legacy event that remains from 19 years ago, and it was tracked originally on the original blue line of the Sydney Marathon.
It was, yeah, so I ran it a couple of times post the Sydney Olympics with a few friends and pacing it, and it was nice, and some of that blue line still exists, and I feel a bit of a tinge of emotion when I see that blue line. I'm normally in a taxi, I'm not running it, but it's no, great legacy. And as I say, I love that we've been able to continue that, and so many people are out here participating today as a result of that.
Does the marathon have a special place in Olympic history because it is such a unique event? It's steeped in history, of course, we know it, the measurement, the 42 kilometre or 26 miles as it used to be, but it's got a special place, hasn't it?
Well, it has for me. I'm not sure if it has for Steve, it has for most, but yes, and everyone knows that distance is measured, and you know, so there is a special significance, and you know, it's great history, and the events now that unfold, they're running so fast in city marathons like here at Sydney, but in the championships, there's great races as well that unfold.
Michael Kenyuga is on screen at the moment, the 32-year-old from Kenya. He's run a 2:10.16. That is his PB. He'll have his work cut out if he's wanting to try and track Kiprotich at the moment.
Well, Pasosio now starting to move away, so she's really, I suppose, gapping on the athletes behind.
And she's running fast and starting to pick up some of the men who are slowing, which shows how fast she is running. So as you start to pick, and these men are quality athletes, so she's running at 3:25 seconds per kilometre, so she's really rolling and holding that well under race record pace. And we're also hearing out on the road that Felix has also picked up the pace and is running a few seconds quicker than race record, so he's really starting to get into the 2:10s, maybe even a sub 2:10. How could we imagine that?
Interesting though, just before there we saw Kenyuga actually looked like he was actually coming back there. He was putting a bit of a pace on, and I know that sometimes it's foreshortened by the camera angle, but Kenyuga there is still working hard in second place.
Right, okay. You run with that line, that's fine, Steve.
Oh, there he is. There he is, just coming.
Yeah.
How hard is this at the moment to try and bridge that gap? You know, you've left the others behind. You're watching a man who's further down the road. Mentally, how tough is this going to be?
I like to give him a chance. Steve obviously doesn't, so that's the difference.
Well, you do, and you want to look up, and you want to be positive and look up, because you want to be chasing the person in front, not looking at the person that's catching you from behind. So psychologically, it is really important. They're probably down to, they'd be thinking they've got half an hour of running to go, so they're starting to get into that really personal zone of, have I still got enough of that glycogen going? Have I gone a bit too hard early? No, I'm okay, and I'm winning and running well, running my own race, but still trying to look at my
the marathon
position.
is classic for last-minute drama. you know that.
Yes.
You know that sometimes it looks as if it's all over, and then in the last kilometre or so, something dramatic happens. You never know.
And historically, if people have heard me before, I've called many marathons that have never ended up in the result that I've called, because strange things happen, certainly in that last 15 minutes in both men's and women. So we're not done with quite yet.
He's there. Give Kunyunga a chance.
Yeah.
He's still there.
Yep.
There he comes. He's still looking sprightly. I mean, he's not dying. That's the thing. And his arms are still working well.
I think he's running a bit aggressively, though. He looks like he's forcing to try and get back onto Felix, which might bring him undone late. I admire him for one, because this is the race. This is what we want to see. And he's running like he wants to win the race, which is good.
We see so many great parts of Sydney as part of the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival, and the area they're heading into now is the Barangaroo Reserve.
Barangaroo Reserve is a man-made public parkland which features sweeping harbour views and is one of the best spots to take in the city. Amongst the 75,000 native plants in the reserve are pedestrian and shared cycle paths and public lawn areas with views of the Harbour Bridge. Underneath the artificial hill is the Cutaway, a 6-storey high event space built into the headland that can accommodate to 5,000 people. Barangaroo is a beautiful addition to the Sydney Harbour, a must-see for locals and tourists alike.
What a place to be running. What a place to be running. Spring Sunday morning.
If you're watching this overseas and you're seeing this has got to be something you've got to come to. It's absolutely fabulous. It really is. Just the scenes, the area that you run through, the atmosphere here, the organisation, absolutely perfect.
Yeah, beautiful. Lots of water and lots of greenery, I think we would say, on this course that certainly breaks up that pain a little bit along the way.
So at the moment out in front is Felix Kiprotich, who has run a 2:05.33 and I think has gone sub 2:07 on 4 different occasions. So he's certainly doing it on his own terms at the moment, but at the 34 kilometre mark, where do the aches and pains start to emerge?
Oh, they definitely get you in your quads, and that's where you start to feel that first signs of hitting the wall. Your quads are your biggest muscle, so they're normally the ones that go first, and you will notice that will affect that rhythm and that running action. But at the moment, no signs of that with Felix Kiprotich. So sometimes, little twists and turns like we're seeing on the course here, that really gives you a telltale sign of how you're running as well. So you look at Felix Kiprotich, if he's measuring and managing those turns without too much trouble, then he's still travelling pretty well.
There's the gap, actually. There's Kiprotich just going out of picture, and here's the chaser coming through here, Kunyunga. He's about, 300 metres, 400 metres behind, but he's still running well. He really is.
Now, I'm just hearing from the course that Kunyunga actually had a moment of confusion and actually headed the wrong way momentarily and was then steered back onto the course. So that gap now to Kiprotich will be widened even further.
That may have cost him. That may have cost him a lot, really.
Right. You're making excuses already.
No, I'm just saying it may have cost him. He's give him credit. If he's had to come back from that, not only physically, but mentally, he's realising he's made a mistake. So that's going to affect him, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how he copes with that, because I think he was running a little bit aggressively, and that would have just, used a bit of that adrenaline that he will need to get him through this race.
This is some of the Darling Harbour area, Barangaroo not far away as well. The Sydney Vista absolutely superb this morning. Here is Kunyunga, Michael Kunyunga, the 32-year-old from Kenya, who's made it a little bit more difficult after taking a wrong turn, but we wish him well as he tries to chase down Felix Kiprotich. Good morning too. You're watching the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival.
Well, Kunyunga went off course. We don't know by how far or what the sort of problem was for him. We just missed that, but he's still chugging on.
I reckon he's showing signs of just working hard. Those arms are flailing a little bit. I always look at signs just to say, but he's definitely running on. He's still full of running and aggressive, so he's still going well. I haven't given up the chase just yet, but I think Felix Kiprotich looks a lot more relaxed. And there's Stella Barsocio, upside down Fenacaro there, who's doing a bit of pacing. He's also running his own race in the Australian Marathon Championships and looking pretty good.
Well, I think he's sacrificing himself a little bit for Nicario. I think he realises that, you know, this is the winner of the women's and he's helping her as much as he can.
Yes.
I mean, obviously there's the selfless part of that, I think, because this is the Australian Championships, it is, and you'd like to do well in it. But I think he's looking across and helping her as much as he can.
Yeah, and good on him, and I'm sure Stella's appreciating that as well.
So Dion Finocchiaro is the man there.
That's right, yeah. He's a very experienced, runs lots of marathons and come from an ultra, does ultras as well. So distance shouldn't be a problem for Dion.
No, he's run 18 marathons, I think, in the last 20 months. So, you know, if you're talking about experience, it's in his belt. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our leader, Kiprotich from Kenya. And we know he's got some good times within him. 2:05.33, the PB, as he breaches the 35-kilometre mark.
I think this is the third place here coming through. Sasaki of Japan. Not sure the distances between the chasers at the moment, but fairly big gaps between them all, I think.
Yeah, I think we're still seeing, I reckon, there's not... We'll just check if we can get that shot. No, we didn't quite get the gap there from Felix back to Michael Kanyaga, but I think it's probably... I reckon Felix has picked up the pace, and I think we're seeing him running away with this race, but proof will be in the eating. About half an hour or under 20 minutes of running to go.
So there it is. It's a half a minute gap between Felix and Kunyunga. So it's a big gap. It is a big gap, but it's what we got now. About another 7K to go.
And if you love to shop, and who doesn't, Sydney, fabulous with all its international labels, innovative designers, master artisans and beautiful arcades. The Queen Victoria Building, 19th century grandeur, fashion, jewellery and gifts. And I reckon, Steve Ovett, that looked like a top that would suit you absolutely beautifully.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that I will try my best with those sort of things later on. But nevertheless, let's get back to the serious part of the proceedings here. And it looks as if, as Steve said, he's put a bit of a spurt on. I think maybe someone said that there was a bit of a chance of Kunyunga closing the gap. It's not like the Tour de France. They don't have microphones telling him where they are and who's chasing. But I think maybe he got the nod from one of the camera crew there that's just behind him or just in front of him that the gap was closing a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you want to push on knowing that you want to establish a winning break, but again, you've just got to measure your own effort. So it's a challenge to do both.
Just having a look at the wheelchair finish here, and that looks like Jake Lappin coming through in the grey. In June 2017, he broke Kurt Fernley's 800-metre T54 Australian record, which had stood for 13 years. It looks like Jake Lappin making his way to the steps of the Sydney Opera House. And we can see a lot of the runners coming through from the 10-kilometre run as well. They continue to win. I think you can see Jake Lappin there. And Richard Coleman is the man who actually breaks the ribbon. Richard Coleman, been to 4 Olympics, 2 gold medals, both over the 800 metres, and then Jake Lappin just in behind him. So Richard Coleman, great effort too, Richard Coleman. He loves his AFL. He's actually a goal umpire in the Geelong League and has been involved in that as well. So well done to Richard Coleman, taking out the Blackmores wheelchair event as part of the Sydney Running Festival.
Wow, that was a bit of a finish there, really, wasn't it, in the end?
Yeah. So Jake Lappin certainly made him work all the way.
Great finish, and I think that might be a little bit of a surprise. I think Jake may have gone in as a favourite, but Richard Coleman, experienced and hasn't wheeled a lot of marathons, so he's finished really well. Probably at that speed, just over that finishing section to get over the line.
Kiprotich, as we've seen before, just doing what he has to do now, looking very casual. 36 kilometres. The gap about the same, 2-second differential now, just 28 seconds behind. Kunyunga just maybe clawing a little bit back, but not significant. Meanwhile, the women, though, I think this is a total dominance, really.
Stella Bassosio,
yeah.
with the 2:23 personal best, and we're thinking on about 2:25, which is well under race pace, but comfortable for her and looking pretty strong. They've still got a lot of running to go yet, so...
You talk about that personal best, 2:23.36. That was Rotterdam in April of this year, so she's coming in here in some great form.
Yeah, and a very fast course in Rotterdam. Great history. I've had world records on that course in the past. So a fast course there, which means, you know, that's where you try and run your personal best. But today it's probably all about winning the race and getting as close to that personal best and under the course record for Stella. 26 years old, perfect age, just the peak of her powers for marathon running.
26, she's really one of the babies of the group, because we've got a lot of post-30-year-olds, as marathon runners will do. They seem to get into that sort of zone, Steve, and then continue to ply their trade at the highest level.
Yeah, especially with the women, and we're seeing Australian women's marathon running are going really well, and Sinead Diver's 41 and Lisa Waitman 42, so, and we saw today Belinda Martin at 45, still running, I think she's around 74 for the half, so fast running. So yes, it's certainly a sport that you can still be running at high levels and running personal bests well into your 40s.
So wonderful aerial shot as they head through that Darling Harbour area at the 36-kilometre mark. Harbourside, beautiful precinct, fantastic dining venues, plenty of entertainment, of course, as well. And just a great spot to be able to come along. Bring the family if you're heading to Sydney. Get along and enjoy some of that. There's some great monuments and statues and fountains and things like that that are almost interactive. The kids can have plenty of fun at Darling Harbour.
Just a quick check across there, wasn't it, to see where everybody was. Kanyunga, I don't think, was in sight, so I'm sure he's quite happy with where he is at the moment, Kiprotich.
Of course, the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival is indeed a complete festival, and there is something for everyone, including the family fun run. 3.5 kilometres, Milson's Point to start, and look at this. Across the bridge you come with all the kids in tow. There's prams and people and lots going on there. That finishes at the Royal Botanic Gardens there, and look at there's our next generation maybe of marathon runners coming through with the Blackmores family run. They've all got the watches ready to go. There's some serious young boys and girls as a part of the run. 3.5 kilometres, over 8,000 entries. It's terrific.
Watch them go. Once that gun goes, they'll be off, let me tell you.
They will. It's every man, woman and child for themselves, because they are very serious about this. Some of the youngsters, the teenagers, some of them not even teenagers as well. And they're off.
It's a charge. It really is a charge.
The Light Brigade.
I bet mum and dads have said to me, you get to the front of that race and you go hard. And that's exactly what they're doing.
There is no prize for the first 100 metres, is there? Surely.
No, 3.5 kilometres, over 8,000 entries. Absolutely brilliant. And what a great occasion for them to be able to again run across the Harbour Bridge and to be able to really enjoy that. And a lot of them waving to the cameras and enjoying it. Dad full of energy there. He may not be in another 3K's time. Who knows?
My sort of distance, that 3K. And we can see that, look, there's families there walking across, pushing prams. This is what it's about. It's about bringing people in and enjoying the day. It really is fantastic.
Yes.
Now, if you're thinking about it, get your entries in for the 3.5, you can have 10, you can have 21, or if you really want to, you can do the 42 as well.
It's a stepping stone, isn't it? It's this, as you said earlier at the start there, all those little kids just lining up there, tense, really sort of waiting to go. They go into this, then there's the 10K maybe when another 4 or 5 years later on, and then if they want, and they progress to the half, and then if they're really serious, really serious, they can go for the marathon.
Or silly, as you would say, Steve, wouldn't you, I think? No?
I'll leave that to you.
Not anymore.
I'll leave that to you, Steve. That's more in your department.
I think Steve Ovett said that while he was rolling his eyes in the commentary box here to say, nice. You're really serious?
Well, all the events are sold out. I think that 40,000, massive numbers. So congratulations to everyone participating today.
Yes, marathon runners are sometimes questioned in their sanity, aren't they, Monas?
They are, and I reckon Felix might be questioning it now. We're hearing the gap is slightly closed. You can see down to 27 seconds, and in sight there. You might be right, Steve. We're not done yet.
Don't say that. You're not saying that I'm right about marathon running. I can't believe it. I think Kanyunga is running well, but I think actually to say that Kiprotich is also running well. That gap of, what, 27, 26 seconds. It's a big gap, it is.
That's nothing, though, over the final stages of marathon. That could change very quickly. So we need to really pay attention to the look of the legs. And here we're seeing third place. And this is getting more into still running on okay, but no real thought of winning the race. I think you can see that Sasaki
is accepting where he is in the race. I think he's accepting he's third. He's just going to tick it through to the end.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a good word. Accepting, that's a nice word. I like your language, Steve. He's accepted his place at third, whereas we've got a race on up the front.
24 seconds now.
Do you think, I mean, you read body language more than I do in the marathon. Do you think that he's looking a little bit tired?
No.
Well, you can see the chaser now just on the white stripe of the road, so he will be able to eyeball the man he's trying to run down.
I think Kanyunga, you can still see the guy in front. You can still see there's a possibility, so that must keep him going.
I still think, though, Steve, sorry to interrupt, but I think Felix will have to lose the race.
Yes,
I don't think
that's right.
that we're going to see a 25-second gap closed within this last few kilometres.
But he's not giving up, though. He's not running for second, is he?
No, he still has... Oh, in his mind, he still thinks he can run this race, because in a marathon, as we keep harping on about, anything can happen in the last 10 or 15 minutes. Where we are right now, strange things happen. So he's still running, knowing that if he holds together and Felix falls apart, the victory is his.
So Kanyunga is the man who is chasing, and this is our leader, Kiprotich. And as Steve Moneghetti said, maybe it is Kiprotich's to lose, but we've watched that come from 30 seconds now down to 21 seconds between the leader and the chaser. And again, we might be able to see Kanyunga maybe can look down the road and see Kiprotich ahead of him.
Whose idea was it to put that chase thing up there? It's worrying me. He's not worried, but I am in commentary, because that gap is definitely closing. But in my mind, Felix still looks very relaxed, very comfortable. I'm trying to look at the head, Bob, and he's still pretty relaxed. He moves his head a little bit, but he looks pretty relaxed to me.
There's not much to go as well. That's what you look at as well. The actual time that the distance he's got to try and close that gap.
Yeah. He's within sight, you're knowing that you're not far away now. He'll start, once they come round under the bridge and get a view of the Opera House, he knows he's in. Mentally, that's significant, because you see the finish line.
So they've come through the Barangaroo Reserve, transformed from a disused shipping container yard into one of Sydney's most stunning green headlands as well. 75,000 native plants and 84 different species. So the Barangaroo area that they've just come through, absolutely brilliant. 24 seconds now, so that elastic band's just a bit movable at this stage between our leader, Kiprotich, and also our chaser. And here he is. This is the man chasing the leader at the moment.
So Michael Kanyunga, whose PB of 2:10.16, that's about the pace they're running. So this is a massive run. If he is closing, we could be in for some sort of finish here. Wouldn't we love to see a sprint finish?
Oh, as you said, drama. That's what marathon's about, isn't it? The drama, really. You never know what's going to happen until they cross that line.
And how could they be, at this 39-kilometre mark, less than 20 seconds split them?
How do you mentally prepare for a sprint finish at the end of 42 kilometres?
You don't train for that, let me tell you. You just go hard.
So this is our men's group at the moment, Barangaroo, and this is our women's leader. It looks like she's run past her designated water bottle, and that is certainly breaking the rhythm there, but having to go back and collect it, Stella Basosio, the Kenyan, the 26-year-old. So just a little bit of a mistake just running past that.
Yeah, but still looks good.
I don't mind that, because she's actually had the forethought to actually go back and get it. So she's travelling pretty well, because she's still got her wits about her to do that. You don't want it to happen, but she responded to that quite comfortably, didn't panic. It's just done the business and now back on her pace.
Yeah, she looked good. I mean, to go back and to pick up and go again, I think in your mind you know that you're still good. You're still capable of running well.
That's right, Stephen. And she's back into her rhythm now and looks pretty strong. They've still got a little bit to go in the women, so there's still a bit of running yet for Stella Basosio, but she looks pretty good.
Gave our lead Australian Dion Finacaro, Winburn. She went back past Dion, who is, of course, it is the Australian marathon title up for grabs as well. So all of the local prospects, while they may not finish on the podium in terms of the elite internationals, they are chasing that title, Steve.
Oh, yes, indeed. And you only win it once a year, and not many people will say they're the Australian marathon champion, men or women. So
how many of those have you got sitting on the mantelpiece?
None, I don't think. Not that I know of, to be honest. That's a good question. I only ever ran the one marathon in Australia, and that was the Sydney Olympic Games. So I'm assuming that means I've got none. I'm happy to say. Yes. I think I'd remember if I had one or two. But no, they are an accolade that the runners out there today, and that's that race within a race. We're all out there running the marathon, but there are reasons to take note of where you're sitting, and those men and women will be chasing that Australian marathon title today.
So this is our race in two. This is Michael Kenyunga, the Kenyan 32-year-old, who is currently at the moment 18 seconds behind our leader, Felix Kiprotich, also of Kenya, the 31-year-old.
So if it gets under 10 seconds, then I start saying that, you know, Michael can race to win, and it's not Felix's to lose, it's then Michael's to win. But at this point in time, I'm still thinking that it's Felix's race to lose.
I agree, but give him credit though. Kenyunga really hasn't given up. He's decided that he's going to race right to the line. I mean, normally at this stage, with about 2K to go, you think, okay, I'll just settle. Surely you would do, wouldn't you, if there's a gap of 20, 30 seconds? Or would you say, I'll go for it?
Yeah, mentally it's good if you can still be running on, because it gives you a positive feel, whereas if you sort of sit down on your haunches and be comfortable with where you are, it's a bit like the number of people who hit their watch or collapse when they cross the finish line. You've got to be mentally strong, and you use all those positive vibes to just keep you going, to hold your form until you cross the finish line, and then collapse, do whatever you want then.
They're approaching the MCA, Australia's leading museum dedicated to exhibiting, interpreting and collecting contemporary art from across Australia and also around the world. So while it's a great sporting venue, Sydney also a great cultural venue as well. 18 seconds is the break at the moment. Kiprotich is our leader as they've travelled through the 40-kilometre mark. So 2 kilometres to go as they'll make their way through Circular Quay before getting here to the forecourt of the Sydney Opera House.
So from our vantage point, we can see they have turned. They've gone under the harbour bridge and they've turned, so they can see across to the Opera House. They can see the finish line, but for Felix, there's a lot of running just yet. They have to head in around that Circular Quay area. But wow, we may, they're both under race record time, so they're running sub 2:11. So for
he still looks as if he's still going well, though, doesn't he? You know,
I'm getting a couple of signs. His mouth open. Just, I reckon he is working harder than he obviously he will be. So we all are at this stage, but I just sense that he's not travelling quite as well as what he was a couple of kilometres ago.
He doesn't have to. He's only got less than 2K to go now. He's 20 seconds, 23 seconds in front. The gap hasn't closed. It did at one point. It went back again and it closed again. But I think he knows, perhaps in his own mind now, that he's got this.
Yeah, and he's, you know, he's ran a lot of sub 2.
Kenyunga, though, look, is he picking up the pace? This guy's so deceptive. He really is.
You can see a lot of the media here getting that iconic shot of the runners with the harbour bridge in the background, and those sort of shots resonate throughout the world. So Kenyunga, who is our chaser at the moment, that he can't seem to get it down under 15 seconds.
No.
So it's gone back out to 24. So he's got his work cut out for him at the moment.
Yeah, I think Felix he's still got good bounce in those legs. Look at that left arm swinging.
Yeah, that's almost like a sprint technique. He's gone up a pace. He really has. Yep, he's looking across. Surely not. Surely he can't close 20 seconds in 1,500 metres almost.
No, again, it really will need Felix to hit the wall and start really getting into that marathon survival shuffle, and we're not seeing any signs of that. And, you know, we're within just over a kilometre of the finish now, so only 3 or 4 minutes of running. So surely I think we can say that Felix Kiprotich could be race record and victory today.
So Circular Quay, they're coming past at the moment, the home of Sydney's major ferry terminal as well, and the icons of the Sydney Harbour Bridge and Sydney Opera House. The Opera House, of course, opened in 1973. Still hosts over 1,500 performances each year, opera, ballet, theatre and musicals at the famous Sydney Opera House. With just about 1,000 metres to go for our leader. You can see the distance there, so he can eyeball him.
I think it's all over. I mean, I was hoping, wasn't I? Hoping against hope that Kanyunga would try and get his way back. But they're both running so well. They're both under probably race record. You can't ask for more than that. And this man has took it on by the scruff of the neck, some way back in the marathon and decided to make it his own. So I think he deserves perhaps the victory.
Yes, and Kanyunga, who will, I think, run a personal best. So I think they're running closer now to 2:10 pace. So we're going to see race records broken. And a famous name, you know, I think this shows the level of the Blackmores Sydney Marathon, that we have a runner of 2:5 quality, Felix Kiprotich, running now to victory here that will further establish this as an international. And that's why it's an IAAF Gold Label event.
So 2:11.18 is the race record.
That's what we're looking at, and it's got a couple of minutes. Surely that time is going to be erased from the record books now.
So this is coming past the back end of Circular Quay. The ferries leave to the right-hand side of this frame here, and he will duck back underneath the railway line and then along the famous promenades leading to the Sydney Opera House forecourt. And you can see the crowd starting to gather at the business end of proceedings, and they're happy to see someone of such elite calibre take out the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. So it's going to be hard to peg him back from here.
No. And he may run under two. Let's get him under this 2:10. That is a massive barrier. I mean, that was a barrier we're trying to break here in Australia. Rob De Gasella doing it in Brisbane. But, gee, that's very, very fast running. So let's get him under 2:10. I think he's a good chance.
He's going to do it.
So the crowd really starting to get involved, and they will lift the 31-year-old Kenyan. The Harbour Bridge in the background. Runners that have completed the journey, family and friends. And you can see our chaser there just behind in the red and the blue.
I think that's a long-distance shot. It's further than it looks, but it's certainly been game running by Michael Kanyunga.
So Felix Kiprotich has a look over the shoulder, and you can see Michael Kanyunga, the 32-year-old from Kenya. Marshall saying to some of the other 10-kilometre runners, just move over to the side.
25 seconds, he's going to be tight. I reckon we've got him, come on, kicking home. I've got him under 2:10. He's home.
Here he is. This will be our winner. Felix Kiprotich takes out the 2019 Blackmores Marathon. A wonderful run from the 31-year-old Kenyan, and continuing the African dominance of this event. Well done to Felix Kiprotich.
Well, the scorecard there was about 2:9.51 unofficial, so that's a fantastic run. Smashed the record.
So race record win to Felix Kiprotich, and Michael Kanyunga as well, posting a personal best time. Michael Kanyunga.
Massive running there, fantastic. So having said they can't negative split, I think they may have, and they've smashed that race record. Fantastic run home.
This is another great run, really, from Sasaki of Japan. He held that third place all the way through the last, 10K or more.
Always in that lead pack and outside his personal best, but he'll be really happy. And again, the Japanese have responded, and good result here. Got a great history in marathon running, and here at Sydney Marathon as well.
So this is our third place getter, Satoru Sasaki of Japan, the 33-year-old.
Another great run on his own, as I say, the last 10K or more, having to work really hard to sustain that.
Wow, that's an historic day. Incredible. That's just, do not underestimate how terrific a run that was by.
As you said earlier, this is not an easy course.
No.
This is not an easy course. There's too many twists, there's so many turns. It goes up, it goes down. And this man's a 2.5 best runner in a flat race, So to run this time in this course, I think that's a better performance, really.
Yeah, it's great running.
So a race record for Felix Kiprotich, who takes out the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. What a terrific result. Under 2:10 here at Sydney on a Sunday morning. We saw Reedy talk to us about the water and the environmental effects and all the packaging and everything else like that. Certainly the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival, Pont 3, Athletics Australia, Destination New South Wales, everyone on board with making it as environmental as possible as well.
Basocio now coming through on her own. This is the race leader in the women's, beautiful style. Was the pre-race favourite, and she has done nothing wrong at all. She's run everything, every single part of the race perfectly in terms of speed, distance, and rhythm.
Are we seeing record pace here, Monas?
We are, yep. So we're hearing 2:25, which is well under. That's almost a kilometre under race record pace. So 3 minutes under that 2:28.06 pace, and still got to hold together and looking the watch, checking the watch. But we know she will certainly be. That will be front of mind for her. She's probably again can only lose the race now, but she'll be keen to keep rolling on to get that well under that race record.
Stella Basocio, a 26-year-old from Kenya.
We're talking about style. Look at that style. Hardly any knee lift at all. It's all very economical. This is what I'm saying about this course, twisting and turning. Again, another twist and turn. When your legs are tired, this really takes its toll. It really does. It breaks up the rhythm, changes your whole sort of aspect. But if you've got to keep going, you just got to keep going.
It does. We don't like it, but it's a beautiful part of the course, and just your rhythm a little bit. You try and get around those little niggly bends and get back onto race rhythm as quick as you can.
So Barangaroo Reserve making her way through there. Beautiful part of Sydney, man-made. It's been reclaimed, and now it looks an absolute treat.
I think we're seeing the gap there, 1 minute 23 back to Chalchisa. A long way back, obviously, in second place. So this goes to show the calibre of performance of Basocio, really.
So Basocio, number 12, working her way through to the Sydney Opera House forecourt.
Still looking pretty relaxed, going around the runner there and running on, holding that pace. And this is world-class women's distance running. And
good thing about where she is at the moment is she is catching people just in front, so she's got a target sometimes just in front of her as the other athletes are slowing down and she's coming past.
And located on the shores of Sydney Harbour, Taronga Zoo is an animal sanctuary in the heart of the city. Take a ferry to Taronga, hop on the Sky Safari cable car, a special feature of the zoo, an aerial view right over Sydney Harbour, 4,000 animals in there as well. Here is our winner though, and Felix Kiprotich doing it in a race record time. Just a dominant performance by Felix Kiprotich.
Yeah, the pre-race favourite. He's still got to deliver on the day, though, and whilst that's a little bit outside his personal best, that is under race record and very, very fast running. We've only seen sub-2:10 marathons in Australia very irregularly, so that's big result and great result for the event today.
So a race record has been run in the men's. We're chasing a race record in the women's as well. Stella Basocio is most likely to achieve that at the moment on the pace she's currently doing.
Well and truly, Ian. She's well under. It really is just holding together now. And she looks very compact, She looks great. She's still full of running. So
she's a 2:23 marathon. This is a class woman.
This is a world class. When you finish second in the Rotterdam Marathon, one of the biggest marathons in the world, that's class. We're seeing class on the road here at Sydney in both the men's and women's.
Exactly.
Today.
I mean, the actual fields this year, I think, have been significantly higher in performance.
Exceptional, yeah. And you really need to do that to get the gold label status. You need to have it, but you've still got to deliver, and you've still got to entice these people. They only run a number of 3 or 4 marathons a year. You've got to have an event that will be encouraging enough to get them here, and we're seeing that. So well done to the organisers and the runners for putting it on the line.
Well, each year this is improving each year.
Yeah.
I mean, and the history and the effort that's been put by these athletes will only enhance that.
Yeah. And we've been working on this event, and I looked at the fields leading in, and I was excited about the calibre of the athletes, because I certainly thought we can see 2 race records in this event this weekend, and today we're seeing it delivered. So the expectation and the build-up that we've gained is actually what we're seeing out on the road.
And the time of Kiprotich, what does that mean in terms of the way marathons have been run in Australia? It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Well, there's a big difference between anything in the 210s. Once you've broken the 210 barrier, that's significant for runners. They'll look at that time and say, well, it is a fast course, so that'll encourage them to make the effort to come out. So it's a beautiful course. We know now it's a fast course, guaranteed.
So we've travelled the 40 kilometres at the moment. Looks like the last 2 is not going to be easy, you wouldn't suggest, for our leader at the moment, Stella Basocio.
But you're adding, even if we're conservative, 3:30, that's 7 minutes for 2 kilometres. So you're 2:25, so that is 3 minutes. That's massively under race record, and 2:25, and not far outside her personal best. That's good.
If you think that Kiprotich's time, a race record, was good, if this woman carries on at this pace, this is a massive chunk off the record.
That's right, yes. And we've seen this record come down. It was 2:31 a few years ago, and then down to 2:28. So if she does hold this pace at 2:25, then that's 6 minutes that we've seen the record improve over the last few years, which is significant.
Felix Kiprotich is downstairs, our race winner.
I'm down here at the finish line with the men's marathon winner, Felix Kiprotich. How was it today, Felix? You broke the record by over 90 seconds. How was it?
I feel good because when I was in 30K, I think I can break the course record. That's my hope in this marathon.
Well done. So you started to pour on the pace at 30 kilometres, and you sure did. You won by over 20 seconds as well. Well done today, and good luck in your next race and for Tokyo next year.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Two-time Olympian Eloise Welling's downstairs doing our interviews, and well done to Felix, a 31-year-old from Kenya, and continuing the African dominance of this race. Of this
11 victories now. So
well, African dominance, around the world.
Full stop. Yep.
I think we understand that, and
they take so much pride, don't they, in their running?
Oh, they would expect to win today.
That's that.
I mean,
exactly.
this isn't a surprise for him. He'd be delighted with the way he's run, but don't worry, he would have woken up this morning expecting to have that result. That's just a different mindset.
Basocio on her own. This is the chaser, I think, as you said, almost nearly 2 minutes behind, just running her own race really all the way. Jepkovic, yeah, she's still looking comfortable. So
she's a 2:25 marathon runner as well. So they're class at the top end of this.
This is a class race. It really is. Yeah. I keep saying it, but it's true. This woman, if she produces this run today, on this course, breaking the record by say almost a couple of minutes or so, that's one of the best runs that I think I've seen for a women in marathon running for some time.
Yeah, and we're not going to see a close finish. The reason is because they are running so fast. So
exactly.
We don't want a close finish when they're pushing the pace, and they've pushed the pace. They've been ahead of race record basically from the get-go. So this has been impressive running today.
We talked about Ben St. Lawrence at the start, and he really put the pedal down right from the beginning as that pace setter. Has he helped create what's gone on here?
Yeah, I think so. Otherwise, that pack may have just relaxed a little bit more and, you know, they would have had to do even more work. And there's only so much time you can pick up in the back end or hold. So certainly setting that up, and Benny Saint was on them and encouraging them to keep rolling. So he can definitely feel like he's satisfied that he's helped contribute to the record, certainly in the men's race today.
So Circular Quay, and they will duck in and around and underneath the railway station at Circular Quay. And the surrounding buildings at Circular Quay are come alive with Vivid Sydney, the Southern Hemisphere's largest festival of lights, music, and certainly plenty of attractions and ideas with Vivid Sydney. You can see Circular Quay right there, the ferry terminal, the famous Sydney ferry terminal of Circular Quay, and the runners will make their way around the waterline, then they'll head to the outside and then come back in through to the forecourt of the Sydney Opera House. So this is our leader in the women, Stella Bassocio.
In the last 1 kilometre, and again, I tried to get the men under 2:10. I think we'll see if we can get Stella under 2:25.
She's running well. She really is. Beautiful style. Looking at her watch. She's been looking at her watch all the time. I'm not sure what she's checking or whether she just wants to see whether she's going to get under that record. She's not checking the kilometres anymore.
No, she may be checking actual pace to see that she's not dropping, because fatigue can be a funny thing and you think you're really slowing, but she may only be slowing a couple of seconds, but she'd be feeling like she's slowing a lot more, and she wants to keep that pace holding and still running on.
That gap of 2 minutes back to Chepkoech stays the same. They're running about the same pace, these two women. But having said that, it's fast pace, so they're not going to close. They're not going to sort of lose too much gap, I don't think, there.
So she will turn left in a moment, head back under the railway line, and then it will be along the promenade, some of the beautiful restaurants and dining establishments that make their way out to the Sydney Opera House and then along. And you can see that turn there underneath the railway line now. The crowd certainly giving her a big round of applause, and she'll be able to see the finish line. It will be beckoning.
Yeah, she's checking her watch. She knows what the race record is, I'm sure, and she's checking her watch.
Yes.
She's seeing how far she is to go and what sort of time. There she goes again.
You don't run and win marathons too often, so I'm hoping she'll enjoy it. But you want to run as fast as you can, because this could be one of her better days, and you enjoy a good day in a marathon.
Well, she's setting a record here, which may stand for a while.
That's
as she
right.
comes back next year and has another go at it, but this is a real performance. It really is.
So Stella Bassocio coming through the crowd at the moment. We can still see some finishes from the 10K. And it looks like the Australian marathon title with Dion not far behind, Monas.
Looks like he'll take out the Australian men's marathon championship.
He's done a good job. Well on him. Sacrificed himself a little bit, I think, but doing well.
We can see, looking down from our vantage point, we're about to see Stella Bassocio as she runs into the finish line, soaking up the atmosphere and taking the applause of the crowd.
So she's currently at a 2:24. The race record is at 2:28. She's going to be well inside that.
She's going to smash it by a considerable margin. She really is. It's going to be under 2:25 easily.
So Stella Bassocio smashing the race record at the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival in the marathon. What a time at 2:24. The race record was 2:28. She has torn it apart and scorched around the course.
And look at that smile on her face. She knows what a big run that is. She's delighted. She looks pretty good. Gosh.
She's laughing, but that was, to put that into perspective, that's 3 minutes almost off the record. 3 minutes, not just seconds, minutes off the record.
Yeah.
And she's come through, she's smiling, she knows she's done it, she looked at her watch, and that's an unbelievable performance, it really is.
An unbelievable run from a world-class marathon runner.
Chepkoech, no, she's still coming through. There's the crowd just cheering her on. She's run well in second place. This is another great run, really. Take that away from Bassocio. This is another world-class performance.
Well, this might well be under the race record itself. So Chepkoech, the 30-year-old from Kenya, making her way to the forecourt of the Sydney Opera House. A terrific run as well.
We're just coming up to 26 minutes now, so she's got 2 minutes again to get under that the previous record, I should say, because it's been smashed already.
She looks in pretty good shape. She's holding it together, so we're seeing some good finishes. They haven't really shown that tiredness, that fatigue that we talk about hitting the wall. They've prepared well and delivered.
What a wonderful vista to arrive at after 42 kilometres. And this is our second place getter.
Not sure about the vista. I think the vista I want to see is the finishing tape.
The scenery is less important when you're just on autopilot getting across to the end. But look, this is going to be under the race record as well.
Yeah, this will be almost another minute and a half under the record.
So this is for second place, wearing the 9, Josephine Chepkovic, and a terrific effort as well, a 2:26 for her. Magnificent run, and as he said, another 90 seconds underneath the existing race record.
Just looking at the other women coming through here, this is again, these athletes are running almost again at the race record pace.
Yep, that's Tajita Chalchissa there, looking like it's going to be our third place getter in the women's event.
Now, she looked like she'd fallen off that original chase group very early. It was down to about 5 or 6 when she came off the back, so she's managed to run past a few to achieve this podium position.
Yeah, she's ran on really well. Again, Steve, she's going to be tight on that race record, I think.
Close to that again.
She'll just be outside it.
Maybe, but what a run, though, from the women.
Yeah.
Great to have the crowd involved. Oh. Terrific to hear the cheers and applause. So many people getting down to the Sydney Opera House area to cheer on our international competitors, and also plenty cheering on mums and dads and
some
boyfriends
of them who
and
have
girlfriends
competed earlier
yep.
and now are staying around to watch the race, cheer their friends and family home.
And a lot of running groups come down. There's squads obviously that compete as well. So just a great festival atmosphere. And well done to Blackmores, the 16th year of being the naming rights sponsorship, and that's our third place getter in the women's event.
Wow. They've really done us proud.
Yeah, just outside that old race record, so it shows the quality of the women's field.
So well done to everyone who's managed to get across, and well done to Destination New South Wales, the strategic partner, the event receiving the IAAF Gold status, putting it on the same level as London, New York and Boston, iconic marathons. We'll try and hear from our winners if we can. You can see Eloise Welling is downstairs as well. The Harbour Bridge in the background. And there is our winner. Congratulations to Stella Passocio, taking out the women's Blackmores Sydney Running Festival Marathon. Well, the day has certainly been turned on weather-wise, no doubt about that. Conditions great.
Well, I don't think we've ever had bad conditions here in the Sydney Running Festival. It's been fantastic, and I think it's produced the results that we all expected. But kudos to everybody there that's been involved with this event today. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, certainly Lardy and the team at Pond 3, the city and the state have supported, trying to entice it, make it a very pretty event, but also beautiful scenery, but fast. And so credit to the organisers who have closed down parts of the city to allow us to enjoy getting out on the roads today.
There's a spectacle of the bridge there, and you're just seeing the watercraft going backwards and forwards. I wonder if they've managed to take up some of the action that's been going on land, but having said that, it's been something quite special, really.
Yes, a run for the ages. Certainly some very fast times that, well, the records now are in a position that, you need to have some special runners to come along to break them. So it's put them into another level now.
That's right. I think there's sort of times now, as you said, when people look at that and they see the winning time of both the men and the women's, they're going to say, right, I can't go there without being in super shape.
Yes.
I can't go and tackle those records. I can't win this race unless I am a world-class athlete in a world-class form.
Yeah, that's right. And that's when you will see that you'd look at the history of the event, and you might have been able to come and, you know, maybe have had a few marathons under your belt, but not anymore. You need to be fresh and ready to go because of their quality fields, and those times are now, you need to be at the top of your game to achieve them.
I think it's justified its gold medal award by the IAAF, I think, over and over again in the last 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah, you have to continue to produce to hold that gold label status. So I think those results today will certainly have enhanced that.
Mustn't forget, though, that it has been, and looking out of our window now, although we're seeing the scenes of the Harbour Bridge and the Sydney Opera, looking at our window at the Commonwealth, there are thousands and thousands of people still coming in from all of the other events that's been going on.
Yeah, and that's what you will get with 40,000 participants.
So our winner in the women's, Stella Bassocio, smashing the race record in imperious style. And you could see the big smile. She knew she was on race record pace. She'd been monitoring the watch and making sure, but minutes underneath. Minutes, not just by seconds, but by minutes. So absolutely brilliant. So we can see Eloise Welling there, sitting on the podium as our winners came in, and we might be able to head downstairs as well. And Eloise has been doing a terrific job for this morning here as part of the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival.
All right, and with female winner of the women's marathon, Stella Bassocio, how was that for you?
Sorry?
How did the race go for you? You were saying that you felt like you could win at 28 kilometres.
The race was good, but when we started, it was cold for me. But after 5 kilometers, I feel good, and I enjoyed the race. The Besmegas was good, and when I was in 28 kilometers, I see I'm in good condition, and I start pushing.
Amazing, and you got the race record by 4 minutes.
I'm so happy.
Well done. We hope to see you back here next year.
Yes, when you welcome me, I'll be back next year again.
You're always welcome.
Thank you.
Looks like she wouldn't blow a candle out. That's one of the more controlled runs we've seen, even though it was such a tremendous pace, but certainly a controlled run. And we can see Cecile Cooper there presenting the medals, and that's our third place getter there from Japan.
Yep, so Satoru Sasaki, third place. And
second place, Michael Kenyunga. Cecile Cooper, our Director of Corporate Affairs at Blackmores. And there is our winner, Felix Kiprotich, the 31-year-old from Kenya, in a race record time. So that is our 1, 2 and 3.
Up they go. Oh, it's always hard work getting on. You want to be on the days, but it can be hard on aching legs, tired legs.
Sasaki in third position, and then Kenyunga in second in the blue, and right in the middle, Kiprotich, Felix Kiprotich. A fantastic run and a race record time that he now owns.
Nice medals. I'll treasure those medals. Little medals for a lot of effort, but a lot of those medals people wear around for a few days. Worked.
Here, have a look at the times at 2:09.49, so sub 2:10 for Kiprotich. And then Kenyunga just over the 2:10 in there as well. And we've got in position 8 our Australian Marathons champion.
I think maybe in 7th. Maybe
7, actually.
Bain, I think, who's a Queensland rep, might have just snuck ahead of Dion Finocchiaro there. And Alex Matthews. I think they might be our 3 Australian marathon medalists.
We saw so much of Dion, of course, with running with the elite women.
I think he sacrificed himself, actually, by helping the women go as far as he did. He really did. So good luck and good performance from him, really, to get second place just behind there in our Australian Championships.
So well done to Dion and to everyone who's been a part of it as we continue to see our bridge runners making their way over. That's a 10-kilometre event. Record numbers again, nearly 40,000 competitors.
Look at that. There you go. The Opera House on the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It doesn't get any better than that.
And here is our women's presentation. So Cecile Cooper again on hand, and a record time that was absolutely smashed, not only by first place, but second place was also under the race record as well.
Yes, incredible running.
So Stella Basosio, and for her, the 26-year-old from Kenya, has run a 2:23 in the past, but this one was a record time, 3 minutes under the race record. Great effort.
2:23 in Rotterdam, as Steve said, flat course, fast course, everybody knows that, but to come here and run this sort of time in these conditions is unbelievable.
Yes, she's smiling for a good reason. That's whilst it's not a personal best, I think she would be thinking it's as good as that run in Rotterdam, because it's a victory and it's a challenging day in course, so she's done well.
So well done to Stella. Of course, we should thank the nearly 1,500 volunteers that are also a big part of it as well. The Blackmores volunteers delivering water and everything else as well. But here's our result, 2:24.33.
Yep, staggering really. Kipchoge also under that record. Kenya again showing what they can do if given the chance. Beautiful running.
And Chelchisa was third in 2:28.22, so she did really well to get back onto the podium after being dropped a little bit earlier. And the Sydney Opera House, the forecourt, plenty of people catching up with one another as well, because sometimes on those runs it's like, all right, well, you're travelling okay, you go, I'll hold back, and then you've got to try and find each other at the end as well. So there's our winners.
Winners are grinners. As they say, and they've enjoyed their work, that's for sure.
You've always got to take a snap, haven't you? You've always got to get the selfie organised, especially when you win.
So Sydney Running Festival, the hashtag you need if you're posting anything on the socials as well. And of course, while we're looking at Hyde Park at the moment, the beaches in and around Sydney are just extraordinary. And who knows, maybe a great place to go and rehab might be Bondi Beach.
With golden sands, the deep blue ocean and perfect waves for surfing and swimming, it's no wonder Bondi is one of the world's most famous beaches. It's one of Sydney's most popular beaches for swimming, surfing, promenading and people watching. The waves here suit all levels of experience. Only 20 minutes from Sydney's city centre. There's a wide array of bars, cafes, restaurants and accommodation nearby, making Bondi the perfect summer getaway.
Look at that, absolutely brilliant, and Bondi Beach, one of the great beaches to head along to. You're looking at the Sydney Opera House at the moment. No explanation needed there. An iconic venue known throughout the globe, and this race now with a race record, especially in the women's side of things, absolute world calibre, and we know it's already a gold label event, and in the men's side the record also being taken apart. So some wonderful runs, and these are some of our finishes in the 10-kilometre event. Nearly 40,000 competitors, and there is our men's winner and our women's winner, and they are happy with their work.
Thumbs up. Yeah, I'm not surprised. 2 records.
That's a money shot with the bridge in the background.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Perfect.
So some of them ambling across. This is the family walk or run. You can take the prams, you can go and do all that, but you do get to get across the Sydney Harbour Bridge. So if you haven't already done it, get along to the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. Luna Park, the famous face, and right on the water underneath the bridge. You can get the ferry across there from Circular Quay. Plenty of people will be doing that this afternoon. You can see a lot of the medals being worn by our competitors, and each competitor will be receiving one of those medals. Absolutely brilliant. Nearly 40,000 competitors.
They're the ones you wear as long as you can, over the suit, over the shirt, over the dress, over the jacket, over anything for as long as you can. How long is too long? That's the question we're often asked as marathon runners, to wear your medal and show off.
I suppose it will tarnish after a while. You've still got yours on, haven't you?
I have, that's right, yes. Yeah.
Where's your gold medal, your Olympic gold medal, Steve Ovett?
Everybody asks me. I don't know. It is somewhere in the house, I'm sure. I don't know. It was last taken for show and tell about 6 years ago, I think. One of my offspring took it show and tell. After that, it disappeared. It literally, I don't know where it is. We just had a bit of a scare at home as well with the bushfires, and I rushed out, and someone said, "Did you take your medal with you?" I said, "No, sorry, I was less worried about that than I was other things." So I was out and away before that was taken into account.
Yeah, and you know you won it, Steve, don't you? So
I think I did.
Yes, you're forgetting. But you don't need the medal to prove it. It's nice evidence.
I always say to people, it's not about what they hang around your neck afterwards. It's the event. It's the actual experience that matters. It really does.
Yeah.
It's nice to have something, but after that, look, this is what it's all about. This isn't about winning gold medals. This is about taking part. This is what running is all about. This is
experience.
This is the festival.
Hands,
yeah,
that's what you want to see.
You can't always win, but you can take part.
Yep. Thumbs up. All ages, sizes, everyone out there being a part of this. And it is, the weather's shined on us today. It's really nice out on course. So some personal best, but more importantly, some great experiences, just enjoying this event.
And that's a part of it, really, isn't it? The fact that Destination New South Wales, Blackmores, Athletics Australia, they've opened up this beautiful city to be able to traverse and crisscross and make your way through it, and eventually finishing in and around the Sydney Opera House area. And just what a wonderful occasion for everyone to be involved. It doesn't matter age, size, whatever, there'll be something for you. And whether that's the family walk or the 10Ks or the 21Ks or indeed the marathon, if you'd like to take that on. And this is some of the beautiful area that you get to run around.
Gee, look at that.
Well, somewhere out there is your son running the 10K, and your wife.
Got the news
and your
through.
wife Coza's out there somewhere doing it. They're doing all the hard work. We're just sitting here doing the commentary. Pretty easy, really.
Well, I know the hydration process in the lead up to the event, and I don't think it was performance enhancing. Blackmores Sydney Running Festival.
Set against the backdrop of Sydney Harbour, Sydney Opera House is one of the world's most distinctive buildings, attracting millions of visitors from all over the world each year, making it the perfect finish line for the Sydney Marathon. It was designed by Danish architect Jørn Utzon and opened in 1973 and is the youngest building to achieve World Heritage listing. This iconic piece of architecture is a multi-venue performing arts centre, hosting over 1,500 performances each year, including opera, ballet, theatre and musicals.
And the acoustics inside that are extraordinary. The way they're designed, that the sound is absorbed or bounced around. It's a great venue to be able to go and watch anything. Play, opera, drama, whatever.
And not only doing our on-course interviews, but doing the voiceovers for us there, Eloise Wellings.
Now there's Richard Coleman, our winner in the wheelchair, and Richard we know has been terrific in terms of representative for Australia over a long period of time, gold medalist, and another one for Richard Coleman to add to his accolades.
I think we're hearing Eliza Alt-Connell won the women's wheelchair event. Bronze medalist from Com Games last year up on the Gold Coast.
So more runners starting to come in. And this is where the inspiration sometimes happens, where people see someone and they think, next year, I'm going to go and do that.
Yep.
I'm going to participate. I might start training or maybe not, and make sure that you get here and do it. But a lot of the people manning the barricades right now will be sensing that inspiration.
Want to be on the inside of the barricades rather than the outside?
If you want to enter, sydneyrunningfestival.com.au, the 2020 Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. And if you enter now, 20% on the entry prices as well. sydneyrunningfestival.com.au.
And they all sold out, so if you want to get in, you've got to enter early.
It's a sellout. But the other thing I think about the wonderful thing about the Sydney Running Festival is that once you finish, there's so much else to do here. You know, we've been talking about the parks, we've been talking about the beaches, we've talked opera house, you know, the ferries. Once you've finished, you can have a holiday here and have a fabulous time. So that's something you've got to take into consideration when you're thinking about going for a destination marathon. Think about not only the marathon, but what you do before and after.
I think I'm getting word through my son Matthew finished the 10K in about 33.50, which is a personal best. So conditions must be nice out on course today.
Now, are you a good coach, or are you? How does?
I'm okay. I'm a good coach. I'm not a great spectator when he's running. I get a bit nervous, but no, he's enjoying his running, and obviously there's a bit of pressure and expectation, but we love it, and I love running together with my son. It's one aspect of running I never imagined, and we talk about that camaraderie and the experience, and it's one thing you can do in running. And there's lots of stories of families out there today doing it.
Well, luckily my son's a cyclist, so I'm never going to keep up with him running. So I'm let off the hook with that one.
Record numbers, of course. The Blackmores family run 3.5 kilometres, and they too get to cross the beautiful Sydney Harbour Bridge. And you can see some of our bridge climbers potentially up there at the moment. That is a wonderful thing to do if you come to Sydney town. Get up and have a look there. And amazingly, it's made up of straight bits of metal. The girders are actually straight, but they give that arch, and you get it up close and personal with the bridge. Celebrating 85 years, along with Blackmores, the same birthday as well, 1932. Blackmores long-term sponsor of this event. But the family fun run, 3.5 kilometres. Let's have a look at some of our finishers crossing there. And as we saw on the line, obviously a lot of them getting ready to go. They want to post a fast time. The kids are normally really good at it, and they scorch across the line. Bragging rights up for grabs, and I think a lot of these kids will then try and say, OK, I'll take on the 21Ks next year, and then I'll take on the 42. So what a terrific way to be able to elevate your running and your experience. The Blackmores family run 3.5Ks and over 8,000 entries.
Incredible numbers out here today. Lardy, fantastic improvement. I think to the organisers, there's been an increase of 7% overall up on entries this year, and gee, I think in the marathon a 20% increase, so big improvement. So people are speaking with their feet.
SydneyRunningFestival.com.au, that's what you need to log on to. You can get involved, but get involved early, because we know that nearly 40,000 competitors, and it's grown. Pont 3 have done a great job of growing it from about 12 or 13, maybe 10 years ago, now to what it is. Absolutely brilliant.
And we talk about the event, but it's the training and the lead up, the experiences and running socially, and the groups that are here today, and the charities that are raising those $2 million. So it's all...
That's right. That's why you've got to get in early, because if you start thinking about it a month or so, you think, oh, I'm in great shape, I'll do a marathon, I'll do the Sydney Marathon. It'd be too late. The entries are gone. Yeah. You know, so you've got to start thinking about that now. Start thinking about, well, I've just watched this on the television. You know, it's going out worldwide, really. This whole event is going out worldwide. And people are watching is thinking, I wouldn't mind doing that. They've got to start thinking about getting their entries in as soon as possible, because this is a fantastic event.
It's really a destination marathon.
Yeah.
And that's what this event's grown to. We're seeing fantastic times today, but also we're seeing a beautiful course and great weather.
The Leukemia Foundation, of course, is one of the chosen charities as well, and everyone runs for different reasons.
I'm with these two friends who've just finished the 10K. Girls, you're raising money for cancer.
Yes, Carol's did amazingly well. She's had a really great year, and we're just doing it for Carol.
Carol, you're a cancer survivor. How does it feel to finish a 10-kilometre fun run after you've been through?
I seriously only finished chemo in March, had a double mastectomy in April, and I'm only 37.
Amazing. You would be such an inspiration to everybody watching at home who's going through a similar thing, and well done today. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, there you go. If you're lying off the couch at home and you're thinking, maybe I'll have a go at it, that's the sort of inspiration that is a part of the nearly 40,000 runners that compete here. As I said, everyone runs it for a different reason, but those two women, magnificent.
Yeah, and there's the stories that are behind this event.
So the point is, get up and off the couch, because there's probably plenty of people in Sunday mornings just reclining and enjoying it, maybe after a big Saturday night. Who knows? In 12 months' time, you might be here and competing as well. And we know there are so many different stories. There are so many different people involved. We can see competitors that have finished coming back to maybe cheer someone on. And look, there is literally a million stories a part of this Blackmores Sydney Running Festival, including plenty of mums and dads.
All right, Karen's just finished the marathon. How did you go today, Karen?
Really good. It was only the 10Ks, not the marathon, but really good, yeah.
Oh, the 10K. Well done. You got 3 kids at home. You must be an inspiration to them.
Yeah, 2 of them are here running as well. I think they beat me. They'll be waiting somewhere for me, but it's good to run together.
Well, I hope they've got a drink for you.
Yeah, cool.
Well done.
Thank you.
Our Olympian Eloise Welling's doing a great job downstairs as well, and people flood over the finish line. It's so good, and sometimes they come over arm in arm, hand in hand. Other times they'll try and post the same time. Sometimes there's a little bit of niggle and the shoulders get moved and someone wants to win by a second or two, but what a magnificent
Look at that.
venue.
I mean, look at that. People sitting down on the Opera House steps, watching everybody come in. Fantastic. I'm still waiting for some of the, bucket man to come in, the man that's running with a bucket on his head, or there's, the Kung Fu guys are coming through at some stage. They're all in it as well, somewhere there in amongst all this. So a fantastic day for everybody, really.
So we've had race records.
Here comes
Guinness
one.
Book
There's one of the fairies
records.
coming through.
Right.
We've had the Guinness Book of World Records on board as well. But what a terrific afternoon ahead for these people, and a great morning of running we have seen. So that just about does us from here at the Sydney Opera House. A terrific event again, successfully run, beautifully run by Pont 3. We thank Destination New South Wales as well for their ongoing support. Terrific to be part of an IAAF Gold status event alongside London, New York and Boston as well. Blackmores, the long-term sponsorship, and it's just been a terrific event. Blackmores have been on for nearly 2 decades now, and of course this is a legacy event from the Sydney 2000 Olympics. My name's Ian Cohen. On behalf of Steve Moneghetti, Steve Ovett, Eloise Wellings as well, fantastic work by Felix Kiprotich, who took out the men's, and Stella Barsose, who took out the women's, and they ran it in record pace. Have a look at the jubilation that is happening here. Brilliant results. And when you're looking at it in terms of a race record time, both the men and the women posting it in race record time. An extraordinary event. Steve Moneghetti, it's been brilliant. Thanks for being along on a Sunday morning.
A terrific day, fantastic running. It was good to be involved. Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Steve.
And Steve Ovett, great to have you along as well.
Thoroughly enjoyed it, and what a day, really, for athletics and for everybody here.
So plenty of smiles, plenty of celebrations. We do thank Blackmores for their ongoing support. And it doesn't matter what age you are, there is something for everyone. You can even come along and wear the dinosaur suit if you want to. Have a think about it for next year. sydneyrunningfestival.com.au. That's the address you need to get involved. And you can do 3.5Ks, you can do 10Ks, or indeed you can do the 21K half marathon. And you can do it in a wheelchair as well if you would like to. So well done to everyone who's been a part of it. And we've enjoyed your company. From Sydney, it's now time to say a very good morning from the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival.